The time is 4:00. We are in the Board of Supervisors meeting room. I call this meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much. I'd like to read the rules now. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Here are a few ground rules. Please turn off cell phones or silence the ringers. Also, please be polite to other stakeholders. No applause, no booing, no cheering. If you are attending in person and wish to speak, fill out a speaker information form and give it to the planning staff before the start of the meeting. Forms are on the table next to the door. The commission chair will call you at the appropriate time. If you are attending online and wish to speak, raise your hand in the Teams chat and provide your name, address, and agenda item number you would like to address. The commission chair will call you at the appropriate time. Your microphone will otherwise remain muted. In-person speakers must come to the podium when called by the chair. Use the microphone to capture your comments. Each elected county supervisor appoints 3 commissioners to staggered 4-year terms. Up to 3 commissioners are from cities. At least 6 commissioners are from unincorporated areas. A commissioner's service is pro bono. A quorum is 5 commissioners. Special use docket decisions are approved by the commission. A majority vote passes a motion. A tie vote triggers a rehearing at the next meeting. Appeals of special use decisions are heard by the Board of Supervisors. Appeal procedures can be found on the county's website. For additional assistance, contact Development Services. Other docket decisions. Dockets other than special use requests result in a recommendation forwarded by the Commission to the Board of Supervisors. A majority vote passes a motion, a tie vote fails. To voice an opinion regarding a recommendation, you may attend the Board of Supervisors public hearing. We observe the following time limits. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes for call to public. 10 minutes is for applicants. 5 minutes for supporters or those opposed, and this is able to be modified by the speaker depending on time allotted. 5 minutes for applicants' rebuttal. This is the time for roll call. Mr. Limbach?
Present.
Mr. Montgomery?
Present.
Chair Depew is present. Mr. Watkins?
Present.
Mr. Young? Is Mr. Young online?
No, Madam Chair.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Present.
Ms. Fickett? Present. Mr. Martsky?
Present.
I understand Mr. Saunders is absent. Thank you. We do have a quorum. This is here we have an agenda. Thank you. This is the time to elect the 2025 chair and vice chair. Do I have any motions?
We'll make a motion. Chairman Kim,
Mr. Montgomery?
I would nominate you for chairman.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Limbach, second. Chair does accept. Need to take a vote. Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Ms. Fickett? Aye. Mr. Martsky?
Aye.
Thank you. Chair votes aye and I accept. Thanks. Here we go again.
Can't get out now.
We've all read the previous month's minutes. Does anyone have any comments or corrections before we vote?
Oh, Madam Chair, you will also need to vote on Vice Chair.
Just ran right past that, didn't I? I need a motion for nomination to vice chair, please.
I have a question. Who's our current vice chair?
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye. I nominate Mr. Montgomery. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins and Mr. Gonzalez. Let's vote again for Mr. Montgomery. Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery, you want to vote for yourself?
I will vote for myself. Imagine that.
Chair votes aye. Mr. Watkins?
Just to spare you.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Ms. Fickett? Aye. And Mr. Markski?
Aye.
Thank you. It's unanimous. We must be doing an okay job, Robert. Now about the minutes, did we have any comments? No corrections? Let's take a roll call vote on that. Let's start different. Mr. Markski? On the minutes, thank you. Ms. Fickett? Aye. Mr. Gonzalez?
Abstain.
That's right, you were gone. Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye.
Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Minutes are approved. Thank you. This is the time for call to public. Pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute, Section 38-431.01, this is an opportunity for the public to comment. Individuals are invited to address the commission on any issue within the commission's jurisdiction. Since commissioners may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda, commission action taken as a result of public comments will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. Do we have any public speakers? I do not have any forms here.
Is there anyone online that would like to speak to call of the public?
Hearing none, we will move to the public hearings portion of our meeting. Number one is SU 24-20, Cochise Stronghold Guest Lodging. Mr. Taylor?
Madam Chair, we did receive a request by the applicant to withdraw this application via email, and at the chair's discretion, I would like to read that message into the record.
Yes, we would like to have that read in, please.
Thank you. This is an email sent to me directly by Kathy Hunter Gregory on January 7th at 5:51 p.m. Hi, Matthew. Please tell the commission that I have decided not to pursue my application for a special use permit because of the strong opposition from my neighbors. I met with several of them on Saturday afternoon, and they said I would get a lot of pushback from my neighbors, and I would be better served trying to make friends with them. I told them I would withdraw, but I was not happy about it. For what it's worth. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Before we heard that, we should have lifted this item from the table, I believe. So I would like to entertain a motion to bring that back to the table.
I will do that since I'm the one who put it on the table.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Limbach. Do we need to vote to approve Ms. Hunter's withdrawal? I don't know if that's legally required. No. All right, then, thank you. We are finished with that docket item. The next item is RZ 24-24 Parker Canyon Lake Road at Coronado Trailer. The applicants are requesting a rezoning of RU4 to RU2. Applicants Rittenauer, are you present? Thank you. We'll call you in a moment. We'll let Mr. Taylor speak first. Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is the staff presentation for docket RZ 2424. An applicant initiated request to rezone property from RU4 to RU2. The applicants are Zane and Karina Rittenauer. The property is located at 9155 West Coronado Trail. That would be tax parcel 10528-005C. Again, the current zoning is RU4. The proposed zoning is RU2. Property is located within plan designations rural as well as growth area D. The existing use of the property is single-family residential, as is the proposed use. Property is located southwest of Sierra Vista, approximately 1/2 mile east of Parker Canyon Lake. The surrounding properties, with the exception of a very small section underneath the western portion of the property, is zoned RU4, and there is some RU2 in the development to the south. These are views of Parker Canyon Road. This would be the subject property viewing north. And this is kind of an odd looking view, but it's the subject property viewing east. Again, so the property owner is requesting to rezone the property to RU2 to enable a lot split. The property currently is 5.6 acres, and the applicant intends to subdivide that into 2 new parcels. We did receive some comments because Coronado Trail is an extension of SR 83. So we received some comments from ADOT on this application. They're not opposed to the rezoning or the lot split as proposed by the applicant. They would just ask that there would be no new driveways along Parker Canyon Road or Highway 83. That's all they're asking for. And they're not opposed to the lot split. So I wanted to share that with the commission because SR 83 does turn south and becomes Coronado Trail, while when it continues west, it's Parker Canyon Road. Section 2.63 of the zoning regulations identifies 15 factors to evaluate rezoning requests. 10 factors apply to this subzone. The factors in favor of approval are the 10 factors that apply to this subzone. The application complies with all 10 of those factors. The proposed single-family development is consistent with the existing residential growth pattern, which is low-density residential. And staff did receive 2 written support from nearby property owners. Staff has not identified any factors not in favor. The applicant mailed neighborhood letters to property owners within 300 feet on 5 November, and staff executed the public notification process between 11 and 20 December. Again, staff mailed 30 notices to owners within 300 feet, receiving 2 written responses in favor. And Madam Chair and Commissioners, that concludes staff's presentation of docket RZ 2424. We are available for the Commission's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Now is the time for the applicant's statement. Mr. Rittenauer, you have 10 minutes. Please state your name and address and speak into the microphone.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Zane Rittenauer. My wife and I, Karina Rittenauer, on the property there. One of the reasons that we're looking to get it split is Coronado Trail kind of divides the property as it is. The split would allow my other family, I'm trying to get a close relative, family friend long-term, they'd like to place a cabin on the opposite side of the road. Being that the Coronado Trail kind of splits that parcel, it kind of gets that offside parcel that we're looking to give a parcel number. It allows us to do something with that piece of property. As it is right now, I mean, I guess I could put a shed or a storage locker or something on that side, but it kind of doesn't do anything for the neighborhood or growth or, you know, store junk. We're not looking to do anything like that. So by being able to split it, I can allow a family member to put a small cabin on there and enjoy the neighborhood as much as we do. That's what we're looking to do with it. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a time for public comments from other persons, either for or against. Do we have anyone online?
Is there anyone online who would like to comment on this docket?
Anyone in the room? Hearing none? This would be the time for the applicant's rebuttal. I'm assuming you would waive that. Public hearing portion is closed. This is the time for commission discussion. If you have any questions for the applicant or staff.
Thank you.
I do have one, if you'd like to come back. Have you had a survey? Can you achieve 2 acres to the west of Coronado Trail?
Yeah.
You've had the survey.
Yeah, we have it serving, and I got it submitted, I think, the following week. But it's been divided. I mean, not divided, but split with the surveyor to make sure we can achieve that.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Just wanted to be sure. No other questions or comments? Mr. Taylor, your summary, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Based on the factors in favor of approval, staff recommends forwarding docket RZ 2424 to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval without special conditions. I would like to add one additional comment. The rezoning application actually was a result of our conversation about the minor land division application that will be required if the zoning is approved. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to call for this motion.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Limbach?
I move to recommend approval of docket RZ 2424 to the Board of Supervisors without special conditions, rezoning tax parcel 105-28005C from RU4 to RU2, the factors of approval constituting the findings of fact.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. Mr. Limbach, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye to approve.
Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Ms. Fickett? Aye. And Mr. Martsky?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It is unanimous. This motion passes. Congratulations. This item will be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval. Any person not agreeing with this action should attend the Board of Supervisors meeting dealing with this docket. Thanks again. The next item is RZ 24-25, Winchester easement. Applicants request a rezoning of R36 to RU4. Applicants are Ron and Jessica, and I'm going to murder this, Engelkes? Are you present?
Engelkiss. Yes, I am.
Engelkes, just like it looks. Thank you, sir. Stand by, please. Mr. Taylor, your report?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is the staff presentation for docket RZ 2425. An applicant initiated request to downzone property from R36 to RU4. Again, the applicant is Ron and Jessica Engelkes. Property is located at 8243 West Winchester easement. This would be tax parcel 2090924A. Again, the current zoning is R36. The proposed zoning is RU4. Comprehensive plan designations are rural, as is the growth area. Existing use is single-family residential, and that will continue to be the use in the future. Property is located approximately 10 miles north of Wilcox, near the Cochise County line. The property is located within an old 1960s development, which most of the parcels were zoned TR36 back in 1976 and converted to R36. But the property is surrounded on the other remaining sides with rural zoning. And the applicant requests downzoning the 5.2 acre parcel to participate in the county's owner builder program. These are images, Winchester easement viewing east on the top left and Old Fort Grant Road viewing south. This is a drone image viewing northeast and another image viewing east. The applicants provided a site plan demonstrating the intent to develop the parcel for single-family residential use. Section 2.63 of the zoning regulations identifies 15 factors to evaluate rezoning requests. 8 factors apply to this downzone. The factors in favor of approval are complies with all applicable factors. The application is compatible with the residential growth pattern of the area. The downzone would reduce the number of allowed principal dwellings, and staff has not identified any factors not in favor. Staff executed the public notification, mailing notices, posting the property, and publishing a legal ad between 11 and 20 December. Staff mailed 10 notices to property owners within 300 feet, receiving 1 written response in favor. I did receive a phone call in opposition and forwarded the online comment form link to that party, but they did not submit anything online. And Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes staff's presentation of docket RZ 2425. We are available for your questions, and as you're aware, the applicant is online.
Thank you very much. Mr. Engelkis, it's your turn. You have 10 minutes. Please state your name and address before you begin.
So my name's Ronald Lee Engelkis Jr. Address is 8243 West Winchester Easement. Me and my family are just looking to move from the busy city life where I still work at in the city of Tucson. We are very excited with the Cochise County's owner opt-out program that you guys have available. I find it very interesting and a way that we can sort of grow ourselves here in Wilcox. I plan just to put up one single family residence, about 24 by 40. And that's one of my goals is to use the owner opt-out program. Some of the issues I have found out here is having people come out on a consistent basis. And this owner opt-out would allow me to do some of the work myself. Those are sort of the goals with me and my family. We are looking to, while we're getting this done, is to have our living out of a travel trailer, which we'll get a permit for. And that's pretty much all I think I have to say.
Thank you. This is the time for a public hearing on this matter. Is there anyone else online that would like to comment? You have 5 minutes.
Is there anyone else online who would like to comment on this docket?
No one in the room? Hearing none? Did you forget to say anything, Mr. Engelkis? This is your time for rebuttal. You obviously don't need that.
Not that I can think of.
All right, thank you, sir. Stand by. This portion of the hearing is closed. It's time for commission discussion. Is there any questions or comments to staff or the applicant?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Watkins?
Looking at the picture of the property, I see 1, 2, 3 travel trailers, a bus, and it looks like a park model. Are any of those going to be leaving? I understand you're going to live in a travel trailer or something while you're building, but are those going to be repurposed to storage sheds or whatever?
Yeah. So 2 of the trailers are going to be gone. One we're trying to sell, and the other one is my brother-in-law, so I can get him to get off. We just came back from a hunting trip this past month, so he just left it here. So those 2 are going to be gone. The bus itself is like what they call a schoolie, so we converted it for like traveling for going to recreational parks in the state. That I can try if that becomes an eyesore. I can obviously have no problem trying to get rid of that.
And what about the park model?
What's the park model?
Yeah, is the park model going to stay or?
Can you just?
It looks like it's a park model, single wide.
Oh, that was going to be put next to the other one.
Okay.
So that will be part of the residence you're planning to build?
Correct.
Okay. I had a little confusion on how many residences are going to be on the property.
Just one. Just one.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else have any questions? Hearing none? Mr. Taylor, your recommendation and summary, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Based on the factors in favor of approval, staff recommends forwarding docket RZ 2425 to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval without special conditions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I'll call for this motion.
Okay, make a motion to recommend approval of docket RRZ 24-25 to the Board of Supervisors without special conditions, zoning tax parcel 209-09-240A from R36 to RU4. Factors of approval constituting the findings of fact.
And a second, please.
Second.
Mr. Limbach, thank you. Is there any further discussion of this motion? Hearing none, I call for the question. Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez? Ms. Fickett? Aye. Mr. Martsky?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It is unanimous then. Congratulations. This item will be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval. Any person not agreeing with this action should attend the Board of Supervisors meeting dealing with this docket. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.
Next item is RZ 23-24 Sunsites Unit 2. The applicant requests rezoning of NB and SR-43 to RU4. The applicant is Jeff Thede. Is the applicant present? Thank you, sir. Mr. Taylor, your report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. This is the staff presentation for docket RZ 2324. An applicant initiated request to downzone property from neighborhood business and SR 43 to RU4. The applicant is Jeff Thede. The property is located in Sunsites Unit 2 at the approximate corner of Palm Road and Towner Street, encompassing 3 tax parcels, 117050420, 043, and 054A. Again, the current zoning is NB and SR 43. The proposed zoning is RU4. The property is located within the Sulphur Springs Valley area plan and designated medium density residential. Comp plan's designation is rural, and the requested RU4 zoning is consistent with both of those plan designations. Currently, the property is undeveloped, and the applicant proposes to develop the property for single-family residential use, utilizing the county's owner-builder program.
But I didn't tell her.
So the property is located in Sunsites Unit 2, approximately 5 miles west of Highway 191. Property is also, so it is zoned SR 43 and NB, neighborhood business as well as residential. I was remiss in not mentioning this earlier. This may appear familiar to some of the commissioners. This application did appear before the commission back in October on the 9th. The applicant has since added a parcel, which required a rehearing. The commission did recommend approval without conditions, and the applicant did request to not move forward to the Board of Supervisors as originally scheduled for the purposes of coming back. Between the commission and board meeting, staff began receiving a lot of opposition to the RU4. Most of the folks who were opposed to it would prefer to see SR 174, which prohibits manufactured homes and rehabilitated mobile homes. And again, the applicant added a new parcel, which in and of itself triggered a new hearing, increasing the acreage from 5.1 to 6.3 acres. So some images of the property. This is a drone image viewing north and viewing west. The applicant has provided a site plan demonstrating an intent to develop the property for single-family residential use. The owner-builder program, as the commission is aware, requires 4 acres and a zoning district with a minimum site area of 4 acres. RU4 also allows accessory structures prior to having a residence. Section 2.63 of the zoning regulations identifies 15 factors to evaluate rezoning applications. 9 factors are applicable to this downzone. Factors in favor include complies with all applicable factors, as is typical with downzoning applications. The proposed development is compatible with the existing residential growth pattern. Also, downzoning would reduce the number of allowed principal dwellings. Factors not in favor is staff has received opposition from nearby property owners. Staff renoticed the application after the addition of the extra parcel between 6 and 18 December, mailing notices, posting the property, and publishing a legal ad. Staff mailed 29 notices to property owners within 300 feet. The applicant owns multiple parcels in this area. Written opposition was received from 2 property owners within the notification area. One property owning 1 parcel, which is the parcel which would be at the lower parcel, which would be to the south. The other property owner owns 10 parcels, which are designated by the X's And the red circles are actually outside the notification area, but are also owned by that property owner. So we received opposition from 2 property owners encompassing these properties. Staff also received opposition from 9 property owners outside the notification area. Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes staff's presentation of docket RZ 2324. We are available for the Commission's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Thiede, would you like to come forward? You have 10 minutes. Please state your name and address before giving your comments.
My name is Jeff Thiede. My address is 115 North Chad Lane, Pierce, Arizona 85602. Madam Chair, Mr. Pugh, Vice Chair, Mr. Montgomery, Commissioners, and staff, I'm Jeff Thiede. I'm here seeking approval for an RU4 down zone. Please consider the staff memo. Salient details in this document indicate, 1, the commission approved my previous RU4 down zone. 2, I comply with all applicable criteria used to evaluate RU4 rezone requests. 3, the benefit of a down zone reduces the number of allowed principal dwellings. And 4, staff recommends approval without special conditions. So why RU4? RU4 allows me to construct my accessory buildings first. My garage, a pump/solar control shed. I have considerable investments in tools, implements, workshop items, welding equipment, generators, solar inverters, equipment, solar batteries, water pumps, a tractor, and a vehicle. And if they're out of sight, out of the elements, and secure would be my goal. By the way, SR 174 does not allow accessory buildings to be built before the completion of a primary structure. Please allow me to back up for some background. My parcels are located in Sunsites 2, roughly 1.5 miles southeast of the Stronghold, as the crow flies, on a beautiful plot of land bounded by desert, highland, Cochise, Stronghold, and Pierce roads. I'd say it's prime real estate. I love it out there. I've lived in Cochise County for 7.5 years. Early 2022, I made my first acquisitions in Sunsites 2 by foreclosing 2 delinquent tax liens. Subsequently, I've purchased several additional parcels from different owners, one at a time. My last acquisition closed this past October. I now have 6 contiguous acres. This spot provides the perfect location to build my off-grid dream home. Wrap up. Having read the public input, my takeaway is that my neighbors love this plot as much as I do. Preserve its natural beauty. I know we're on the same page. While I yield the remainder of my time, I would be very happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. Jeff Thiede.
Thank you, sir. We may call you back. The public hearing on this matter is now open. It is time for comments from other persons. Kevin Todd. Is he online? Oh, you're here. Thank you, sir. Please state your name and address before you speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Todd. I am a resident of the home to the north and the west of the subject property Also an active realtor in the area. So been a part of dozens of transactions on these Sunsites lots. So I've got a very interesting perspective of the buyer, seller, and owner dynamics in this area. And I'm hoping some of that will come to life as it relates to our opposition on this matter. So I'm not going to start off by beating a dead horse. I just want to encourage everybody here that cares about this case and everybody on the board to really study those opposition letters and look deeply so that you can feel the reason why they are there and why our sentiments are not only staunchly opposed, but completely unanimous. There are no letters of support in the public comments, and it is important for us to understand why here. So what we're proposing is a downgrade to RU4. As the applicant said, he considers this prime real estate, and so do we. You've got the highest property taxes in Sunsites in this unit for the very reason that people have been adhering to the zoning standards that have been set forth in the past, right? So the building standards and the SR site built zoning is what gives us these property values that we enjoy. It's what's drawing people to the area, and people really need to understand that. I've represented multiple people who have moved into this area in the last year. I've probably sold a dozen or more lots within a mile of our house. And the people that are moving in are doing so because of the site-built zoning, guys. And that's something that we got to protect. It's really important. I have this case is it's spurred on a number of conversations with neighbors and people just outside of the unit, but also living Sunsites. And the feedback that I've received is that I haven't spoken to one person yet that is either building a home or that has purchased a home in this area. It's okay with any more RU4 in the area. Nobody wants it. And that's loud and clear. It's been made loud and clear to me. And you can read that in those sentiments. So one of the things that I also want to hit on here, just to kind of recap the concern, is that when this is kind of the start to the proverbial slippery slope, right? It's not necessarily that this one case is going to bring blight and degradation of building standards, but it's a setting of a precedence that then starts a cascading effect. We're going to get more of these rezones, and then you start to see the slide. You start to see undesirable elements come in. You start to see blight. We've seen too many trailers in this area already that we've had to call compliance to get them to leave from dry camping. We've had an increase of crime from outside areas that's starting to proliferate in. And this is a little nook and a little bastion that has kind of been protected from that. And we don't want to even introduce the possibility of that downward slide like we see in places like Richland. So one of the things I want to hit on too is the property values, just to kind of recap, are set by the folks that have come before, right? They played by the rules. They've adhered to the zoning and building standards. And so it feels like to me what we're doing is we're allowing a bunch of RU4 to come in is that we're essentially selling out the sacrifices that people have made before, right? Because they're the ones that have adhered to those standards, propped up the values, and now we're in this kind of a situation and it just doesn't really seem fair. So last point I want to make, I'm glad that Matthew brought up the point about the fact that this was originally RU4, went to SR 174 and it was back to RU4, but I think that's important to consider. It's important to understand and ask the questions why. So thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. The next speaker is Mr. Kent. Henderson, Herdson? Have to help me out with the last name, please. Are you online? Is it Amos? Well, you're here. Thank you very much. State your name and your address as you speak, please.
Good evening. I go by AJ. I'm Amos J. Hudson. I am a neighbor to Kevin and Lindsay. I discovered Cochise County in 2008. By 2009, had decided that I would like to retire here. In June of 2010, I bought the property that I have now built a home on. I'm not a wealthy person. It's not a fancy home, but it is well built, well inspected, and I keep it up and it looks nice. I've gotten to know all the neighbors in the years since that are near me. I've had a number of them over, my wife and I, for dinner on a number of occasions. We have a great relationship. It's a kind of community and the kind of neighbors that I think everybody would like to have. It's my understanding on this applicant's request that he intends to build a fixed home consistent with other homes in the area, and yet he wants the change to RU4, which would not be necessary if he indeed intends to build a home consistent with the other homes. It's my understanding also that if the RU4 were granted, that he would be allowed to do things that would be detrimental potentially to the homes that are there, and many of whom have retired, many of whom have invested all that they've earned in their life into their home, as I have. I bought the property specifically because of the location and because of the zoning. I paid a premium for that property, and I know others have as well. I think that's why you see the opposition to this. So I'm not an expert, but my understanding is that if the zoning request were granted, that mobile homes could then be put on these lots. They could be rented out to people that we would have no real interest in having. I just don't see the positive in terms of tax base for the county. I pay a higher tax, I'm sure, because of the higher value of my property. And I'm in opposition to this, and I ask that you deny it. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson. Lindsay Rothschild? Name and address, please, first.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Rothschild. I am the owner of the property at 531 South Skyline, northeast of Mr. Fee. My property is directly touching his parcels. I am also speaking in opposition to the RU4 zoning for many of the reasons already shared. My hope is that we can preserve the prime residential land that we've all invested so much love into. We have an incredible community. Everyone's very aligned in the vision for that space. We've all paid higher prices and premiums to choose an area that was residential zoning. My understanding is there's plenty of areas that have RU4 for people that want those areas, but this was not one of those areas that Mr. Thied selected. It's also my understanding that the plans for his property do include site-built home. So it sounds like it would actually be in alignment for the zoning that we're all requesting. It sounds like we kind of all agree on that. My worry is the impact of the property value. My hope is that this is my forever home. And so the thought of staring at trailer parks or debris really, it's giving me a lot of anxiety, honestly, because this home is the most beautiful place I've ever been. So to think about the view out my window to be destroyed is kind of makes me emotional. So also mentioned the potential increase for crime. We've already seen that coming in from other nearby areas that are more RU4 zoning. And the negative precedent that it sets for the community. I think most importantly, what should be known is the outpouring from all members of this community on how we feel. As mentioned before, every single person that's written letters, and we've had 9 or 10 letters and speakers completely opposed. And that's because we have a very aligned vision for this area. And you can see that when you move through it because everyone takes such great care of their land and their property. So my hope is that you consider the opposition. Thank you for the time to speak.
Thank you. That's all the slips I have. Is there anyone online, Mr. Taylor?
Is there anyone online that would like to speak to this docket?
Hearing none. This is the time for the applicant's rebuttal. Mr. Thede, do you want to answer? What is that gentleman raising your hand for, sir?
Good afternoon. Patriot Office, I'm neighbor.
All right, we can allow you 5 minutes, sir. Come forward.
Thank you.
State your full name and address and then promise to go fill out a form, okay? Over there. Yeah.
I'm Dimitri Demakis. I live at 502 West Towner in Pierce, Sunside area. I moved here June 23rd. For many of the reasons my neighbors are here, it's beautiful. It's quiet and it's dark skies. I suppose my only anxiety there is the light and also crime, which recently we had some very dramatic crime that I should know or close by. I'm friends with Jeff and I met him. He was one of the first people I met this summer and very friendly gentleman, gave me a lot of information about the area. We talked about his plans. I learned he was my neighbor at that time. And the RU4 zoning. And the advantage to that, I think he stated, that I see is very advantageous, is being able to build the outbuilding, at least one to store things, to stockpile your supplies. Many of us aren't rich, like another person mentioned, so we would collect building materials over time, stones or trees that we know, and store them on the property in a safe place along with tools. And then over time, you build your residential home and it all comes together. That's what I understand Jeff wants to do. I believe that I have my sense of aesthetics. I love my property also, and I hope my neighbors do. I'm sure they notice so. I love it dearly, and I don't think anybody up there has any intention of doing anything that's going to change that. Now, I cannot control my neighbor's sense of aesthetics or where they are going to put their house. I could have a conversation if I catch them in time and say, hey, maybe you move it over there, but I can't control them. It's their property. So currently, I have new neighbors that are lovely that are building a home right behind me. Their trailers in full view of my bedroom window now. I'm not going to complain about it. I have to learn to live with it because I am a peaceful person, as are my neighbors. And we negotiate things like that. And we learn to live with things. And we plant new trees, maybe. Right? So I'm here to support Jeff in allowing him to have RU4 zoning. I don't think there's no evidence that property values diminish, that crime increases with RU4 zoning, and it allows many folks to realize dreams that they couldn't otherwise. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And can I step over and get a form?
Yes. Mr. Thede? You also have 5 minutes.
I have no further comment. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the time for commission discussion. Does the commission have questions of the applicant or staff?
I do have a question or two.
Montgomery.
If applicant could come up again, get some exercise here today. Good day.
Yes.
Just wondering is the purpose of this application to allow you to build some permanent or temporary storage units of some kind to secure materials and equipment until you can get to the actual residence that you want to build later? Is that the point of all of this?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Approximately, do you have a plan for those structures or an idea what they would be built of, what they would look like? Are they affixed? Are they permanent, temporary?
This is a sticks and bricks sort of exercise on a concrete foundation. Here is a, not that you care, but I have a little, this is my design inspiration. It's sort of a mock Adobe.
Mhm.
And
Now, is that the residence or the storage?
that's a residence.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was asking primarily about the storage units or the
Oh,
storage.
sure.
Yeah. What would those,
Oh,
do you have a presentation on those?
on the storage units?
Yeah.
I do not.
Okay.
That would be like a garage.
Okay. On a slab in
Honest,
affixed,
yes,
possibly
Yes.
Adobe like that?
yes.
Or
Same
stucco?
construction techniques as this.
Did you have a concept of the size?
Yes. This would be my casita. You would
Let me-
call
let
it
me- let
ALQ?
Let me clarify. I'm focusing on the storage units
Oh, I'm
right
sorry.
now, okay?
I-
The residence would come later.
I got
And the point
Yes.
of all of this is where, so you can
three-car
store
garage, what is that, 700, 800 square feet? Three-car garage?
24 by 24, 24 by 30, something like that.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
That's about 6.25 with a workshop. It's
Okay.
about 700.
In your plan, would such a garage then be attached to the house or would it be freestanding elsewhere?
Standing.
Okay.
My design aesthetic, I would not combine that with my house. That will be freestanding.
Mhm.
I'm kind of a nut.
Okay. And were you considering a singular, a one storage unit?
A one-story.
What should I call it? A storage unit or what
A
do you?
garage. A garage?
Garage, okay.
A garage.
So one.
One of those.
Mhm.
And I have another outbuilding that will house all of my, my solar, generating equipment.
And that's
Not my
all,
panels, but the inverter and things like that. And that will be in a separate building.
okay, so that's not built yet.
It is not. Nothing is built on the property
Okay.
at the moment.
Okay. And can I ask more details on the solar unit then? Is it also a garage or is it smaller?
Solar will be ground mounted.
Oh, ground mounted, okay. So not in a building.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Solar panels on pedestals on the ground.
That is exactly correct.
Okay. Is there any other storage type construction you're planning?
No.
Okay, so a garage and some solar panels.
The garage,
Mhm.
the, I call it the control shed, which is where, and then the solar panels.
Mhm. Do you think that a two-car garage will be big enough for your materials and equipment to build your house?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Now, keep in mind, just a point of detail, I will have a two-car garage, a little workshop attached to that.
Okay.
Okay. But I think that's enough.
I like workshops. I have a couple. How big would those be?
About the size of a bay. So that's like a three-car garage.
Mhm. And they would be separate from the garage,
No, that will be part of the garage,
part of the garage.
part of the garage. But the garage will not be attached to the building.
Okay.
That,
So the workshop you just mentioned would be inside the garage.
yes, that's correct.
Okay.
You would look at it and say, oh, that's another bay
Mhm.
for like you could put another garage in there, but
I
you open
understand.
up, it's my workshop.
Been there many times. I got it.
Well-
Okay. Did you have a time frame for any of this?
I have, I've been working on this for about 3 years. It's just coming up on 3 years. I now I'm here to get all of these things together. I anticipate, because I now have a permit for I have a permit for a septic tank.
Okay.
And as soon as I get that done, I will be filing permits for all these different items. So I suspect I will be breaking ground in a month or two. And in a perfect world, I'd like to have the roof on my house before the monsoon's gone.
Well, that's a good 6 months from now.
Probably.
Do I understand from other commentary, is this an owner-builder opt-out?
I'm grimacing. I do not want to do the opt-out. It is owner-builder. I don't want to do the opt-out.
Well, you can if you want to.
No, yes, I know, but I don't want that to be a pickle when I go to sell the house.
Mhm.
And this is my forever home, but my kids come along, they want to sell it, what have you.
Mhm.
So I don't, while I want the owner-builder, I don't want to ignore the inspections and things like that.
I won't stay too much longer. Is this off-grid at the present time?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And
And, you-
Mr. Montgomery, it will remain off-grid
okay.
because of the solar panels, water tanks, septic tank.
Mhm. And I guess, hopefully one last question. Is the property fenced or do you plan to have it fenced?
I have fence posts up around the perimeter.
Mhm.
I have not strung the barbed wire.
Okay. Well, thank you for enduring my many questions. I may have another, but for the time being, I'm good.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Watkins?
it seems to me the big sticking point is the RU4. And you don't want to go with SR 174 because you can't build your accessory buildings first.
That's right.
That's right. And is there any leeway to that? No. Okay. So that's the big sticking point. And if you even just kept the SR 43, you could still combine all the parcels, and still build one residence, but the opt-out's not there. I know you don't want to do the opt-out, but in my view, there's something that says you can't be the contractor and still have inspections.
I'm sorry. I can't hear you. And that's a
It's-
shame on
it's-
me, but
Well, the sound system's not up to par.
okay.
But, okay, if you stayed with SR 43, it's my understanding you could be the contractor, do all the inspections. Am I overstepping my bounds there? Okay. Where the RU4 allows you to be your own contractor without inspections if you did opt-out. But what I just heard is you want to do the inspections to keep the resale value.
As far as it, I'm 99% certain that I will need to do the opt-out. And the reason for that is I don't want that, but I think I will. And the reason for this is an engineering exercise. I think I mentioned my house here, it's built of block, and I will not pass the insulation R-value target of R19 in the walls. I can't get there with the way I planned this. Now, can I come up with some of the engineering to make it over that? Possibly. And that's why I want the R-value as a safety net. Excuse me, not the R-value, the opt-out. If I can't get, if I can't meet that threshold, I will need to use the opt-out. But again, I don't want to, but that's going to be sticking point.
Okay, so we've got your neighbors requesting that their biggest hangup is RU4 allows mobile homes, manufactured homes. we can't put a stipulation that there will be no mobile homes. Now, you could put a deed restriction on that saying no mobile homes, site built only. That could be your compromise, where you don't want one, but future owners may want a mobile home. But if you put a deed restriction on that property, it wouldn't be allowed, and it would still be conforming with residential site built only in an RU4. Yes. It's up to them.
Oh, well, I don't know if I got Matthew's, Mr. Taylor's, did you hear that question?
What I'm saying is, in RU4, he could put a deed restriction on his own property where future owners could not put a mobile home. There's many subdivisions in RU4s that have that. Site built only.
Correct. In Cochise County, we don't enforce deed restrictions.
I understand that it would be up to the people passing the deed on and all that. But it is a safety net. Or some kind of safety net. I'm just offering a compromise. I assure you, if it came to a point where somebody was going to put a mobile home on there and you had that deed restriction on there, you could be long gone. Your neighbors would know of it and they would stop it.
Not in this context, but I understand how that.
Okay.
I don't know if they're chatting about this.
I'm sure they are.
They are.
They are, okay.
If you're going to insist on that, we would prefer a condition
No,
as
I'm not
opposed to
saying it's a condition. I'm
because you can
saying,
enforce that. But
I'm saying he would have to do it voluntarily. I'm not saying it would be a condition.
okay.
'Cause I know we don't have that authority.
If it's a condition, we do. It's just
Yeah,
the three of us won't be here potentially when he, and future staff members will just see RU4 and they couldn't miss it. You could do both,
Right.
but
No, I understand.
our preference is that it's a clean rezoning.
Okay, I have no further comments.
Anyone else?
I will. Again. Yes, sir. Do I understand that the house that you showed us a picture of and the garage, we'll call it as you described it, would be site built by you personally? Okay.
Owner builder.
I'm a
Mr.
fan of,
Use the
I
microphone.
like the owner builder opt-out.
What's that?
Talk in the microphone, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. I
Yes. Oh. Yes. Site built by me.
Yeah, so as I say, I have no problem with the owner builder opt-out. And it's not a determining factor here, frankly. But you mentioned that you would hope in a perfect world to have your house finished by the monsoon. And I just have to suggest that even to build a two-car garage by yourself with a concrete slab and a house is a mighty ambitious project for one guy in 6 months. I frankly, I would be super impressed to see anybody who could do it because I've tried. It's very tough. Is there a more realistic calendar you might offer to your neighbors?
More realistic calendar
Time frame, sir.
timeframe?
Yeah.
You mean like, okay, 6 months is too aggressive. And
And I
A
will say,
year?
from the
A
time
year?
that a permit is pulled, you do have plenty of time. You're not limited to 6 months.
yes, I understand that.
Okay.
Yes. A year, maybe? That's where I'm going to live. So I've got to get going pretty quick. So again, I don't want to say 2 years. I don't even want that entering my head. I want to get this thing going. Maybe a year, I don't know.
I'll try to end with this thought. It appears to me that the many neighbors in opposition to your plan are concerned about what will actually develop there. And in your perfect world, as you describe it, it's a nice garage and a nice house and some solar panels off the ground and fencing and an acceptable presentation all around. But I suspect their worries are that it won't turn out that way. It'll drag on. You won't have the facilities or the resources to finish it or to get it where you hope to get it in any reasonable time frame. Is that about right? We all have high hopes, believe me.
What's that?
We all have high hopes. I do. But can you pull it off is what I'm asking.
Well, here's the other thing. I hear what you're saying, and is my time frame aggressive? Possibly. But even if it took me a little bit longer, I don't know that I heard their concerns that way. And I'm not saying that's not an issue, but I don't know that I heard them say that.
Okay. And we could ask them, but I heard that concern.
And I can't hear very well in the back, just so you know. But yeah, that's that's all concerns are legitimate. I'm not going to deny that.
Certainly wouldn't want to discourage you. I would encourage you, but it is an ambitious project for one man. That much I know.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. I'd like to move this forward with one question of staff. If he plans to build a home in 6 months in SR 174, there's no problem with that, correct?
Correct, Madam Chair. Commissioners, the opt-out program would be available in SR 174 or RU4
So
for a site build.
I really don't understand. I mean, we're moving your application toward an unneeded point, in my opinion. I mean, he's got zoning that sounds like he can do what he wants to do right now in the SR 43 even. So the SR 174 would be a preferable. It would soothe your neighborhood. So that's my final comment.
I appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah. Is there anyone else that would like to address Mr. Thede with a question or staff? And I'd like to move this forward. Sir, no, we try and hold everybody's feet to the fire on the schedule, and the public commenting time is over on this case. So I think I'm going to move this forward. The commission has had a robust discussion, and I think we're desirous of making a good decision for you and the community, sir. So we're going to move forward toward that. Mr. Taylor, could we get a recommendation and
Thank you.
summary? Thank you, Mr. Thede.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before the recommendation, I would like to apologize to Mr. Todd. He had also supplied a comment form, and I failed to include that in the public input file that was published with the agenda.
No.
But he did address his concerns.
Yes, I had 3 forms for Mr. Todd, so I think we're good, right? Yeah,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
no problem.
Based on the factors in favor of approval, staff recommends forwarding docket RZ 2324 to the Board of Supervisors with the recommendation of approval without special conditions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Would like to call for this question?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Limbaugh.
I move to recommend approval of docket RZ 2324 to the Board of Supervisors without special conditions, rezoning tax parcels 117, 05, 042, 043, and 054A from NB and SR 43 to RU4, the factors of approval constituting the findings of fact.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Martsky. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none, I call for the question. Mr. Martsky?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Fickett?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Okay.
you. Mr. Watkins?
I'm going to vote no. I think the SR 43, SR 174 is a better option.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Mr. Montgomery?
I'm going to vote aye to approve. I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you. Mr. Limbach?
No, based on the same specification as expressed by Mr. Watkins.
Yes, and the chair votes no. However, the ayes have it. This motion passes 4-3. This item will be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval. Any person not agreeing with this action should attend the Board of Supervisors meeting dealing with this docket. Thank you very much. The next item for consideration is SU 24-19, Cherokee Trail Guest Lodging. Applicant is Michael Clement. Are you present, sir? Thank you very much. Mr. Taylor, your report on this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the staff presentation for docket SU 24-19, special use authorization request for 2 guest lodging units. The applicant is Michael Clement. Property is located at 163 North Cherokee Trail. B-Tax parcel 124060004B. Property is zoned RU4. The comprehensive plan designations are rural, as is the growth area. The current use is single-family residential. The applicant proposes single-family residential use with 2 guest lodging units. Property is located approximately 3.5 miles west of Benson. Property is located within a development that's averages about 4 acres, but it is adjacent to a development with lot sizes of 1 acre or less. The applicant has provided a site plan which shows the existing primary residence on the property. The applicant did secure an approved accessory living quarters application this year. So as of now, there would be permissible to do two dwelling units, a primary and accessory. The applicant further proposes 2 guest units for use by family as well as short-term rental use. This would increase the density on the property to 4 dwellings per 4 acres. There's some drone images. This first image is viewing to the west with Tequila Trail in the foreground. This view is viewing east. Section 2.48 of the zoning regulations identifies 10 factors to evaluate special use requests. As identified in the application, 8 factors apply to this request. Factors in favor include the application complies with all applicable factors. Factors not in favor would be the increased density of 1 dwelling per acre, as well as staff has received opposition from nearby property owners. The applicant mailed notification letters on 25 September to property owners within 500 feet. Staff executed the notification process between 6 and 18 December, mailing notices, posting the property, and publishing a legal ad. Staff mailed 30 notices to property owners within 500 feet, receiving 1 response in opposition. Staff also received 2 additional responses in opposition that were outside the notification area, further to the north on Tequila Trail. Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes staff's presentation of docket SU 24-19, a special use request for 2 guest lodging units. We are available for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Clement, it's your turn, sir. State your name and address as you speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Clement at 163 North Cherokee Trail, Benson, Arizona 85602. Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. I want to thank the staff for the work and recommendation. I acknowledge the recommended conditions for approval and will abide by them upon approval of the request. My family has lived in this community for 15 years. We deeply care about this land and the people around us. Utilizing previously approved structures on the property will allow my adult children to have spaces of their own as they transition in adulthood. Families and family bonds are very important right now. This approach ensures that my family remains close-knit while also addressing the rising cost of housing in a way that aligns with our community values. Two of my children are attempting to work and go to school in Tucson, where rent has just skyrocketed recently. These quarters will provide future housing for our mothers as we oversee their end-of-life care. My mother-in-law is expected to be living with us in a few years as one of the children, hopefully, or both, age and grow out of the units and move into larger homes with their own families. I need to ensure I have accounted for the possibility of caring for my own mother. Additionally, I've received interest from other community members we know that have expressed interest in moving into one of the units if they're available. The guest lodging permit will allow us to use the two proposed structures to accommodate them and give them an affordable housing solution as we also accommodate family members in the ALQ. I have a waiting list for long-term rentals, and the short-term option may not be needed. For the short term, I have contacts with groups such as the Wild Bunch Film Festival, entertainers and vendors for events like Rex Allen Days, and acquaintances I have generated from being active in these community events, such as a couple I know from France, who have expressed interest of coming and renting this unit long term, such as staying for several months during winter times or summer times. So some of these vendors or entertainers that I know are looking for solutions where they can come and stay in Southern Arizona for more than just a day or a week and be able to go to Kartchner Caverns or the Desert Museum and really just enjoy the area without stress. And so these are contacts that if the children aren't living in them, I'll be looking to utilize them for that purpose. So it's a good use of those facilities when the children or my mother-in-law, who's back east and isn't planning to be here for several years yet, comes. I also have two teenagers that they themselves they very well may replace the older siblings as they move out as well. So the idea is, one of the concerns that was brought to me by someone who called me on the phone was, hey, you're not going to have like parties and stuff there. I'm like, no. So that was one of the things that I was looking at was issues such as in Florida, where non-residential owners or property managers allow people just to come in and wreck stuff. So no, I'm putting my time and effort, my money into these. I don't want someone coming in and just wrecking it overnight. That's not my intention. If available, I'd be scheduling and utilizing these for the children, perhaps long-term rental solutions for community members. Upon approval, I will continue to minimize any potential concerns, such as I plan on constructing privacy fences around each of the homes. These fences will maintain a natural desert landscape. As part of the staff report, they also commented that the need for foliage around the area. I left. So the mesquites, the desert shrubs, the sages, I left in place. So where these two buildings are located, they're very small. They're 12 foot by 24 foot. So they're basically one bedroom, one bath units. I left the surrounding landscape, so they kind of melt into it. So if you're driving down the road, you see them for a moment. Some of the respondents live almost half a mile away down Tequila Trail, so that they cannot see it. It's not in their view. It's a very small footprint that they're affecting. The fences will also reduce noise between properties, ensuring peace and quiet for all neighbors. They create individual fenced-in areas, and the entire property is also fenced in. So basically, it would be separating fences within the outside field fencing. I'll be working with planning and development to ensure these fences meet any coding requirements and will be part of the landscaping theme to increase the vista and fill the small section that these structures occupy. I've received personal communications via phone call, text, social media, or email from area residents. Those that have contacted me were positive and supportive, and I'd like to thank them on the record for their support. Some have had questions or concerns that I was able to address in our communications. Some had suggestions on what they would do. Some of these community member suggestions have been very constructive and helpful, and I've incorporated or they have helped steer me in a constructive direction. One community member recommended getting fully covered porches permitted and improved with trellises strategically placed to ensure good nighttime visibility in the immediate area around the lights, and at the same time mitigating that light from hindering neighboring properties' views of the nighttime sky. I like that. I have not met with all the respondents who have responded to the docket, but I wanted to be sure I was being diligent and not acknowledging their concerns. On review, there are 5 respondents pertaining to 3 properties, 2 which were out of the contact area. There are common concerns among the responses. As I read them, these concerns have been addressed in large part by the staff memo and some directly addressed by the applicable factors, of which all 8 factors have been complied with. These factors include maintaining the rural feel and aspect of the neighborhood, traffic, utility usage, noise, and property values. The proposed use involves existing permitted structures with small footprints, smaller than many barns in the area. Staff report highlights the large vegetation that helps hide and mitigate the smaller buildings. Traffic impact will be minimal. Only a small section of Tequila Trail adjacent to my fence line will be used, with no traffic traversing areas north of my property where the respondents who would deny my use are located. My private driveway, Patton Lane, will serve as the main access point. For over a decade, my family and the Pattons have maintained this private drive. While some Tequila Trail residents use it as a shortcut, we've shouldered the upkeep of this driveway. I believe this demonstrates our commitment to maintaining the roads we use and will be extending the same care to the portion of Tequila Trail that will be affected by our use. My family, though we have no requirement or duty to the roadway itself, have also mowed and maintained the shoulder running along our fence line. And on occasion, we've gone just a little bit further along the neighbors' properties. I know they're older, I've met them, and it's just a quick and easy walk on my riding mower just to mow their weeds that have come out and are on the shoulder. Let's see. One of the respondents, kind of running out of time, apologize for being long-winded on it, but if need be, I can address his comments. He was pretty excoriating, so I'll just sum it up versus go off the notes. So he was like, hey, has he even got any of these buildings permitted? He's doing it wrong. Get off my lawn, you young whippersnapper. But I haven't. So before I started this project, years ago, I was living in Wilcox, and across the street, I lived from a prominent Arizona resident. They had built a beautiful, very large garage, and right before it was permitted and done, they had to tear the whole thing down. So there was something wrong with the foundation. It didn't meet code. It was very expensive, very time-consuming mistake. And I was bound and determined for that not to happen. So I've been trying to mind my P's and Q's with this process. So I've worked with area ROC contractors, the health department, planning and development to ensure every step of the way these things have been permitted. So I worked with the health department, and we got the septic system installed. It meets or exceeds the needs for the usage for these units. That was permitted. It was installed, inspected, done. The next step was getting the structures permitted. So those were permitted, installed, inspected, done. Then I applied for an ALQ. That was approved. And that leads us here to the special use. So I'm trying to make sure that through the whole step in the process, I'm in line with the code. And thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Clement.
I do ask that you approve the permit. Thank you.
Thank you for your explanations. This is a time for public comment from other persons. I have no speaker slips. Do we have anyone online that wants to address this issue, Mr. Taylor?
Is there anyone online who would like to speak on this docket? No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Hearing none. Will you waive your rebuttal time, Mr. Clement?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Public hearing portion is closed. This is the time for commission discussion and questions. Anyone?
Just one quick question, please.
Mr. Montgomery?
Maybe two.
Okay.
Can we look the presentation page 5 with some overhead? There you go. And the blue rectangles representing the proposed structures, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the larger one, right adjacent to an existing structure. From this picture, I can't really tell. Is that a shadow of the white roof there, or is that part of a building? What is that?
So the black L shape?
Yes.
So there used to be a 40 by 40 overhang. Underneath that is an RV cutout.
Okay.
So that 40 by 40 basically is, it's a tough material, kind of like a trampoline, but it's permitted.
Okay.
That section was blown away by a microburst.
Okay.
But it's a screen that would otherwise, currently the kids' trampolines are under it.
Mhm.
But it's not a shadow, it's a big shape.
Okay. And what is the structure right on it, right next to it?
That is a permitted 8 foot by 40 foot, not Rolex, but it's a Connex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's got a roll-up door cut in the side.
All right. And then I know you mentioned it, but the two blue proposals there, what is the dimensions on the larger one?
The larger one is my 3-car garage.
Okay. And the small one?
That matches the LQ. It's 12 foot by 24 foot.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Limbaugh?
So the units you're proposing to have as rental units are already constructed.
Yes, sir. I'm not looking to add any additional structures.
That's it for me, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none. I think my questions are addressed to staff, just to help understand. Do short-term rental laws include ALQs? In other words, can they sign up with BNB?
Madam Chair, when we process an ALQ application, the applicant is required to return a notarized statement attesting to the fact that an ALQ would not be leased without approval of a special use authorization.
Okay, so this is the process we're working on today. And how many ALQs can exist on RU4?
For the zoning regulations, any zoning district that authorizes ALQs, there is a limitation of 1 per parcel.
Okay. Because we already have 2, correct?
That's correct, Madam Chair. We have a primary residence and an accessory dwelling unit.
Two accessory. Mr. Clement? You have 2 extra residential units?
No, I just have the primary residence and then the 1 ALQ. So the special request is to add 2 guest lodging units.
Oh,
So the
okay.
total that could be occupied would be 4. And 2 of those would be the special lodging units. And 1 would be the ALQ, which we don't have any intent to rent, if you will, to anyone else. That would be occupied pretty much by family all the time.
Well, that has to be occupied by family. So are you going to build 2 more structures?
Negative. All the structures are already built.
And who's living in them now?
No one.
No one.
Currently, one's a garage, and the other 2, we're currently building out the ALQ. That will we're trying to get that done before the end of the school year, which is when one of the children's leases with their current rental is up. And the other one will be building out after that one.
All right. What's the blue one? In your description, what's the blue one?
The 2 blue ones, so the one on the east side we call that the sunrise room, has a great view of the sunrise. That's a 12 by 24. That matches the 12 by 24 ALQ. They're basically sheds we found down the street at the person who was selling the sheds. So we're basically converting sheds into tiny homes, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. The larger section was the is a 3-car garage that we'll be converting into a unit as well.
Thank you.
Thank
So no new construction is being proposed under this SU.
You are correct. We're using the
Okay.
existing structures.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions?
Just clarify,
Watkins?
the garage will be 2 units?
Just one.
Okay, I'm missing count here. Your main house is 1.
Yes.
Your ALQ is 1.
Yes.
The garage is 1. Where's the 4th one?
So in the picture, the garage would be the more square.
Correct.
The small blue one up to the right would be the second shed.
Okay. I understand now.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, we seem to be confused.
A little bit, yeah.
Yep, so 1 ALQ would be occupied by the adult children or a mother or a mother-in-law. We're converting the garage because in case my mother moves in with us, she's going to need her own space because she and my
But
wife.
the garage is close to your house.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor, if you wouldn't mind, go to the next slide. It's a aerial photograph and can you zoom in
Yeah.
for us?
Mhm.
So the 2 brown roofs are your garage in your house
Yes, ma'am.
and you're remodeling your garage for mom.
That is correct.
Okay. And so then we move over to the blue building and that one's going to be a guest quarter.
That is correct. So
It
that
looks like metal siding.
Yeah, so the one that the cursor is next to is the ALQ. This one here will be is one of the 2 that the guest lodging is for.
Okay. And then the little upside down T, the other 2 buildings.
That is the other 2 that looks like a T. That's actually the ALQ. And then I put a shed over it to keep the drywall safe, and then she made me enclose it to keep the drywall from getting wet. So that's the ALQ.
Okay. I think we have to focus on no new construction.
Yes, that there will be no additional buildings. And as you can see from the photo, because they're basically sheds, they have a very small footprint. So you can see that there's a vehicle on the road, which is Tequila Trail. It's the sheds are fairly bigger than the vehicle.
And you won't be asking for addresses for any of these.
Good.
Okay. Just checking.
Well, Madam Chair, may I ask staff one quick question?
Mr. Limbach, your turn.
Would the approval of this transfer to subsequent owners?
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioner Limbach, Commissioners, if the commission approves the special use, it is an entitlement that runs with the land.
Thank you.
It's okay. The special use goes to subsequent owners. Also. Is that okay? Okay. Mr. Taylor, would you like to summarize and recommend?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Based on factors in favor of approval, staff recommends approval of docket SU 2419 to allow 2 guest lodging units with the following conditions. Quiet hours shall be observed by paying guests from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Condition number 2, street and head-in parking along Tequila Trail are prohibited, meaning that any parking for those guest units should occur on site and not in the roadway. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to call for the question, please.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Limbach.
I move to approve docket SU 24-19 to allow guest lodging with conditions recommended by staff. The factors in favor of approval constituting the findings of fact.
Second?
Second.
Is that Mr. Watkins?
Yes. Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Mr. Limbach?
I'm going to vote no. I just believe it's too many living units in a lot that was designed for one residence.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery.
I'm going to have to agree with that, given that it's only limited to one anyway. And I'll have to vote no.
Thank you for your explanations. Mr. Watkins?
I'm gonna vote aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
I'm gonna vote aye.
Ms. Fickett?
I'm going to vote no.
Similar reasons?
Similar reason. There's too many
Thank you.
there.
Mr. Martsky? Chair votes no. Same reasons stated. This motion fails.
Is it 4-3, Chairman?
4 nays to 3 ayes. An individual disagreeing with this action has the right to appeal to the Board of Supervisors within 15 days. An application for appeal is available from the clerk at the office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, or online at cochise.az.gov. And thank you very much for your patience, Mr. Clement. The next item before we take a break is SU 24-22 Marguerite Road Shooting Range. The applicant is Robert Todd. Are you present? Thank you. I'll let you say your name when we get to it. Mr. Taylor, your report, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is the staff presentation for docket SU 2422, a special use authorization request for an outdoor shooting range. The applicant is Robert Todd. Property is located west of Wilcox at the approximate intersection of Marguerite and Atwood Roads, encompassing 3 tax parcels, 202, 01, 013, 014, and 018. The property is zoned RU4. The plan designation is rural, as is the growth area. Current use of the property, there are no improvements to the property. The proposed use is an outdoor shooting range. Property is located approximately 4 miles west of the Wilcox municipal boundary. The property is bound by state trust land to the west, as well as Kibler Feed Yard to the east. The applicant also owns property to the east of the subject parcels. The applicant has provided a concept plan demonstrating a project area of approximately 400 acres. Future land use would include pistol, rifle, and shotgun ranges. Access would be from Marguerite Road only. And the applicant is proposing a phased development. There's some drone images of the property. This would be viewing to the southeast. This would also be viewing to the southeast with Kibler Feed Yard in the foreground. This would be an image to the southwest. This would be approximately the northeast corner of the property. Another view to the south. And this would be viewing west towards the Winchester Mountains. Section 2.48 of the zoning regulations identifies 10 factors to evaluate special use requests. 9 factors apply to this application. The one does not comply would be the traffic circulation factor, as the proposed use is proposing the use of Marguerite Road for sole access. And Marguerite Road is a local road, not a major collector or arterial. Factors in favor of the application include the application does comply with 8 of 9 applicable factors. Staff has received written support from an adjacent property owner. There are very few residences in the area as the property is bound by non-residential uses. The project would also create a new recreational and training location to individuals and organizations in the Wilcox area and throughout Cochise County. Factors not in favor, again, referencing the Marguerite Road being a local road. The proposed sole access to the property would be via a local road, which, and there are several existing single-family residences along that road. The applicant mailed letters on 5 November. Staff followed that with the notification process between 11 and 20 December, mailing notices, posting the property, and publishing a legal ad. Staff mailed 38 notices to property owners within 1 mile. Kibler Feed Yard, Winchester Farms, has provided written support in favor. The bottom green check mark is a property that's owned by the applicant. Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes staff's presentation of docket SU 2422, a special use request for an outdoor shooting range. We are available for the Commission's questions.
Thank you very much. This is the time for the applicant's statement. You have 10 minutes. State your name and your address, please.
Hi, my name is Patina Thompson. My address is 1317 West Eslick Ranch Road in Cochise, Arizona, 85606. Thank you for your time tonight. I have a short presentation as well, and I kind of want to give you a background on the need for this project and the support that we have. Robert was supposed to be here tonight with me. He couldn't due to weather conditions, but he is aware of and agrees to the conditions that we've spoken to Mr. Taylor about for this special use project. So my husband and I are part of a group called the Wilcox Firearms Training Center and Range. It's a 501c3 that's been looking for a site for a public shooting range for over 10 years. And we've had quite a few leads over those years, and they've always just run dry, whether it's the location of it or neighbors that were against it. So we're excited about this option, and Robert brought it to us with the location being ideal, and he knows the struggles we've faced as a group. This group is quite popular. We started in 2014, and at that time, the purpose to raise funds, we'd have an annual dinner, and the purpose was to raise funds for a shooting range. Since then, we had those dinners annually, and we have about 200 people, and it always sells out fast. And since then, we've kind of gone to like every other year because we haven't had a real goal in mind or a real purpose. We don't want to take funds out of the community without knowing where we can put them. So now we have a viable option, hopefully, in this special use permit and location. That same group has, let's see. So the purpose of the Wilcox Firearms Training Center and Range is to promote shooting sports and firearm safety. We support 4-H shooting sports, hunter education, and our Second Amendment rights. This next slide, my husband and I are also local volunteers for the Arizona Game and Fish. We do the hunter education and safety courses. We've been doing that since 2013, and we've completed 41 classes and graduated over 700 youth and adults from the program. Currently, we host our field day at a private range south of Wilcox, which is fantastic, but it's always nice to have another option. And when we do have people, we have families and such from out of the county, even out of the state, that come to our class, and they're always asking, where can we go shoot? And there's not a good answer for that. So a shooting range available to the public for certain hours would be ideal to recommend then. We also have a local gun shop, Oneida Arms. It's north of town. Al Miller's the owner. He's in support of the project. He also is looking for a place for his CCW classes and or people to go shoot if they're looking at a firearm purchase. And essentially the who part is because I wanted to show that we've been working for this for many years. We have great community support, and it's an exciting project that we think is long overdue. The where, it's, I had 7 miles, 4 is probably closer, northwest of Wilcox. Vacant land, fenced, as Mr. Taylor said, access through West Marguerite Road. There's one entryway that can be locked and when it's not in use. Members of the Wilcox Firearms Training Center and Range Group that I spoke about before would have certain dates and times available for use as members as one of the perks. There would be certified range safety officers. There were 14 of us that got certified years ago as RSOs. Those have since expired because we didn't really have a need to keep those, but we plan to get more people certified and one RSO would be present when the range is open. We'd operate during daylight hours and it'd be open to small and large caliber rifles and pistols, and a shotgun skeet and trap range is proposed. So there would be shotgun use as well. This next slide is similar or the same as what Mr. Taylor had. It shows kind of the orientation of things. This is oriented north. The long range would be toward the east-west orientation toward the Winchesters. The pistol bays would be more toward the north, and then that shooting, the skeet and trap range would be to the east. The closest inhabited building or residence is about a mile and a quarter away to the northeast. The other black area down below is for parking. So we do plan to do this in different phases. The first one being completed in 2005, being the brush removal, dirt burns, and parking area. And then we would continue with phase 2, getting those ranges just how we like them. And then of course metal shades would be ideal down the road, an officer storage area, and then a well and restrooms as well. The next slide is for the letters. So we sent out, I think it was 34 you mentioned. It really boiled down to about 15 people because some of those owned multiple parcels. Mr. Robert Todd received 2 phone calls from neighbors, both in support. They kind of had questions and wanted to know when it was going to open. A letter of support from the closest neighbor to the north, Mr. Mark Kibler at Kibler Feed Yard. And there was a Facebook post on December 19th with this public notice and hearing, and that was interesting. There were 55 comments. Most all were in support of it. Many were kind of asking, where is it? And some had concerns about whether or how the firearms around livestock would be. But due to the rural location of it and the Todds have the lease on the state land to the west, they themselves would be the ones that would be concerned, and they are not concerned on that aspect. The City of Wilcox Chief of Police Dale Hadfield, we met with him and he's in full support of the project. A big why is currently there is no place to shoot. There's illegal shooting south of town and northeast of town, really bad. It's unsightly, it's unsafe, it's bad for the environment. It is dangerous for wildlife and cattle and people. And the closest public ranges are really about an hour away: McNeil, Douglas, Hereford, Safford. Those are kind of our options for public locations to go shoot in Wilcox area. And with that, that kind of sums it up. I wanted to thank you for your time, for your service on the board. We look forward to, if this passes, promoting firearm safety and education. It'll be a safe place to enjoy firearms, clean place to enjoy firearms. It'd be well supervised and a nice designated area for use. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing portion of this docket item is open. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to this matter? Online?
Is there anyone online that would like to speak on this docket?
Done? Anyone in the room? And I have no forms, so we'll close that. Waive your rebuttal. Thank you. This is a time for commission discussion. Is there any questions for the applicant or staff?
I have a question.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Is this a public shooting range or a private shooting?
It's privately owned but open to the public during certain days, times, hours of the year. Not open all the time, only when there's supervised RSOs available. And that would be published, we would say the third Saturday or for a certain group, and then other groups may have it for other days.
So it's for people if they coordinate with you?
Correct.
Okay. Another question. The area to the west of there, the state land, is there a grazing lease on that land?
Yes, Robert Todd holds that grazing lease.
And is Robert Todd related to This other Todd?
Tom and Heidi Todd are the current landowners, as are his parents, and he's the representative.
Okay, what about cleanup, the shells, the lead, all that kind of stuff?
Yes, we would follow all the EPA related requirements for that and abide by. We've got some great information from Mr. Taylor for, lead cleanup, site design to help with all that. So that would be the responsibility of Robert Todd, the property owner.
Are you familiar or aware of any wildlife negative impacts in that area as a result of the shooting range?
No, it's quite rural. I don't think that it would produce any excessive noise or odors or anything like that that would be detrimental to wildlife or people. In my opinion.
Just below a world recognized avian corridor.
Mm-hmm.
Have you visited with the Game and Fish or Fish and Wildlife people to see what impact they might have on migratory patterns of those birds?
Not so much specific for the birds. We haven't met with the Game and Fish, but we've talked with some of the local wildlife managers that are aware that there isn't really a site for the public. So it was more so of a need for a designated shooting range, not so much how it might affect those migratory birds. So we haven't on that specific issue.
Because there are sandhill cranes that land on those
There are.
all those hay fields that you have immediately next to you. Yeah. Among other birds and animals.
Right.
Would be nice to get a biologist or somebody that would go in there and make an assessment, an evaluation, and give a report of that. I think it would be of use to you and whoever else is going to be responsible for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Limbach.
with the increase in traffic, would you be maintaining the access road?
Would. So part of one of the conditions in there was to do a 2-inch gravel on the quarter mile between Davis Ranch Road, and there's about a quarter mile that is county maintained, a quarter mile from there to the entry that we would put gravel on to mitigate dust and make it look nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have a question, but it is for staff at this time. And it is under factors in favor of approval. The third item says few residences in the area. And then factors not in favor of approval. It says proposed range access rural local road with several existing single-family residences. So those are two opposite things as I see them. Could you explain, or what am I missing?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Montgomery, the range orientation to the west and to the north, there aren't any residences out there because it is state land. However, as you travel to the east on Marguerite Road going towards Old Fort Grant Road, the residential density increases as you get to that point. Fortunately, a significant section of Marguerite Road beginning at Old Fort Grant Road is improved. There is that one last stretch, that last quarter mile. There are 2 residences on that last quarter mile. But again, they're not oriented in the direction of where the shooting alleys would be proposed to be.
And what specifically would be the factor not in favor? Is it noise or dirt or safety?
Correct. It would be the use of that local road for primary access, but also just the creation of dust because that's not a county maintained portion of Marguerite Road.
I guess the bottom line that everybody wonders, is it downrange of the firearms action, or what exactly is the problem with that road and single family residences? It's traffic and dirt and noise, but it's not shooting.
Correct. So Commissioner Montgomery, on the factors of approval, there are 10 factors associated with special use permits. One of those is traffic circulation, where it encourages any non-residential use not to utilize local roadways or travel through neighborhoods. And in this particular case, that's what we're looking at.
And Mr. Taylor, we're not in need of a road maintenance agreement with any adjacents. It's beyond that.
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Questions?
One more.
Mr. Gonzalez.
There is an existing range already out there, right, somewhere?
There's a private range south on Kansas Settlement.
Are you aware of any report or evaluations they've made on noise from the range out to the countryside?
Not that I'm aware of. It's quite remote as well, and I'm not aware of any problems like that.
Several ranges down on the Douglas area,
Mm-hmm.
the prison and all that. You can hear them practicing 3 miles away most mornings. And on the other side, you have a private snowbird skid range. So you hear gunshots coming from the west and from the east. And it's at least 3 to 4 miles away. So I don't know, just you might get concerns on the level of noise. I know the wildlife will hear it way before that area comes, but I'm concerned about that impact on wildlife and just a comment or heads up on people complaining about guns going off within 3 to maybe 4 miles away. That's it. Thank you.
Was Game and Fish copied as per usual on this?
Madam Chair, we did include Arizona Game and Fish on our design review transmittal. We did receive a response that they just haven't been able to prepare any comments for us.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Pickett?
I have been a participant at that private gun range a number of times. My husband and I participated with the 4-H shooting sports. He also was an instructor for the Game and Fish in the youth programs. And what I can tell you is that from our area in San Simon, that would be very nice to be able to take our youth that close to participate in this range, because the private range you have to go to when the owner is there. The people I participated with in a couple of shooting events was Arizona Game and Fish officers, Cochise County deputies, Border Patrol, and a number of local officers from different precincts in the area. I can see that this range being from our area would be very beneficial and well participated in, including for myself.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I got a private shooting range, my ranch. And I think it's important. I think it's important to teach kids how to handle guns properly.
Very important.
So that I don't have to do that for my neighbor's kids. So I think it's a wonderful idea, but I get the same complaints that I'm sharing with you. And also the president and everybody else. I think it's needed. There's no place like that. And I think if you set up a nice curriculum, it will enhance a lot of the education, because most schools and private organizations, except for 4-H, maybe some FFAers, don't know where this is at. And they're the ones that would benefit the most. That's my case.
Thank
I
you
will
very
offer one
much.
comment.
Mr. Montgomery?
To the photos of the so-called wildcat ranges where people just pull off the dirt and start shooting. Those photos say a lot, but they're actually, I know of much worse wildcat ranges in southern Cochise County. And they eventually become just a landfill, people throwing their old furniture and their washing machines and whatever junk they have, and it just gets shot up. Some control of that would be a very good idea. Prevent that.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Taylor, recommendation and summary?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Based on the factors in favor of approval, staff recommends approval of docket SU 2422 to allow an outdoor shooting range with the following conditions. Range officers shall be on site during business hours. Range operations are limited to daylight hours. Range rules and emergency contact information shall be publicly accessible prior to opening and permanently posted on site. Applicant and/or range officers shall incorporate best management practices from Arizona State Lands Department, Bureau of Land Management, or any other public or private entity to prevent discharged ammunition from exiting range boundaries by incorporating berms, standoff distances, shooting alley orientation, and other measures into individual ranges and overall site design. Implement dust control on Marguerite Road between Davis Ranch Road and the subject property using 2-inch gravel, should be gravel. Dust control shall also be used for on-site driveways and parking areas. Utilize City of Wilcox subscription fire suppression services until an on-site water supply is available. Use Environmental Protection Agency best management practices to mitigate potential soil contamination. Provided the link to the website there. A soil contamination mitigation plan shall be provided to the county at permitting. Combine tax parcels 202-01-013, 014, and 018 into a single tax parcel. I would like to add, Madam Chair, that we did receive comments from the City of Wilcox as well as Arizona State Lands, and we have incorporated those comments into these conditions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I would like to call for this motion.
Madam Chair,
Not sure who I heard. Mr. Watkins?
I move to approve docket SU 24-22 to allow an outdoor shooting range with conditions recommended by staff. The factors in favor of approval constituting the findings of fact.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Is there any last discussion? And I will call for the question. Mr. Marksky?
Yay.
Ms. Fickett?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye.
And Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. It is unanimous then. Thank you very much. Any individual disagreeing with this action has the right to appeal to the Board of Supervisors within 15 days. An application for appeal is available from the clerk at the office or online at cochise.az.gov. Thank you. I think we'll take can we do it in 7 minutes? Take a break? Yeah. This meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission is called back to order. We are looking at docket item SU 24-21, Rain Valley RV Park. The applicant is Harley Martin. Mr. Martin, are you present? Thank you, sir. Mr. Taylor, your report.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is the staff presentation for docket SU 2421, a special use authorization request for a 60-space recreational vehicle park. The applicant is Harley Martin. Property is located on Highway 82 and Rascal Ranch Road. APN is 106-12002A. Property totals approximately 23 acres. Property is zoned RU4. Comprehensive plan designation is also rural. Property is currently undeveloped and the proposed use is for a recreational vehicle park. Property is located approximately 2.5 miles west of Highway 90 and Whetstone. So subject property is zoned RU4, as are all surrounding parcels. Property is bound by state land to the west and the south. Low density residential development to the north and east on parcels 4 acres and up. The applicants provided a site plan. It's a little bit hard to decipher. However, the applicant is proposing 60 spaces. Primary access is going to be an existing drive near the west end of the property along Highway 82. Secondary access is proposed on Rascal Ranch Road near the east property line. The project proposes to retain natural vegetation along the perimeter for screening purposes and noise abatement. Proposed improvements include an office, restroom and laundry facilities, dog parks, as well as a general store. This is a drone image viewing to the east with the subject property highlighted in yellow along Highway 82. This is another image also viewing east, showing some of the low-density residential development further to the east. And this image shows some of the existing single-family residences along the north side of Highway 82. Section 2.48 of the zoning regulations identify 10 factors to evaluate special use requests. In this case, 8 factors apply. Traffic circulation does not comply with respect to the proposed use of Rascal Ranch for emergency service vehicle access. Rascal Ranch is a public easement and is not an arterial or collector road. Staff has identified the following factors in favor of approval. The application complies with 8 of 9 applicable factors. Business and high-density residential land uses are appropriate along highways. The property has abutting public lands to the west and to the south, which limits the impact on adjacent residential uses. Factors not in favor, staff has received opposition from nearby property owners. Staff also noticed that some of the property owners to the north of Highway 82 have nice southerly view sheds and have paid, in some cases, a premium for those properties. And their concern is that this project would be visible for those properties and potentially degrade their property values. Staff completed the public notification process between the 6th and 18th of December, mailing notices, posting the property, as well as publishing a legal ad. Staff mailed 9 notices to property owners within 300 feet. We received 3 responses, written responses in opposition from property owners within the notification area as designated by the red X's. We also received 26 responses from property owners outside of the notification area. This map would effectively be a notification area of approximately 1,500 feet. So it shows some of the additional written comments we've received from other property owners outside the immediate 300 feet notification area. Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes staff's presentation of docket SU 2421, a special use request for a 60-space recreational vehicle park. We are available for the Commission's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Martin, this is your time to address the Commission. That's fine, thank you. Please state your name and address, sir, as you begin speaking. You have 10 minutes.
TJ Gray. I live at 62 Homestead Lane in Elgin. Can you go back to the site plan slide, please? Okay, so it appears that Development Services suggests that the site's capable of supporting an RV park, given the size, the shape, and the location along an adjacent highway. There's been a lot of letters of opposition. I read all the letters, and I can't answer every question and address every issue in those letters, but the common theme between the letters were 3 topics: water, wastewater, and traffic. So I'm just going to discuss each of those here. We'll start with water. The property owners, they live in the immediate area, and they've been cattle ranchers there for 40 years, for the past 40 years. Their primary concern is also water. If there's no water, there's no ranch. So that's one of the issues that we went out and met with a local well drilling company in Whetstone. And we also had a well impact study done for the site. Both of those sources indicated that the site is capable of having the well on site, and the impact of the well is not moderate or significant. It's considered nominal. Other issues were drainage and soil erosion. Nobody wants asphalt out here. Watershed bad. It doesn't let water get through it. The only asphalt planned on the site would be an ADOT requirement. On the left side, there's ingress, egress. That would be asphalt. And then to touch on, thank you. And then to touch on the issue with accessing fire access to Rascal Ranch Road, it's not shown on the site plan, but we are able to, according to ADOT, have another ingress egress point on the eastern side, south side of Highway 82, west of Rascal Ranch, so that we wouldn't be asking for any access from Rascal Ranch Road. Soil erosion, we'd be using millings or aggregate rock throughout the park. There's no pavement planned in any of the interior driveways or the spaces. Additionally, the site slopes downward from Highway 82 south. In regards to watershed, we would be likely doing a tiered grading development to help keep the water on the site. In regards to trees and water vegetation, we'd be working with a licensed local landscaping company to address any kind of drought tolerant trees or shrubs that may need to be put on the site. Our idea is to keep this as rural as possible, with the natural vegetation being being along the setbacks on each of the roadways. Ideally, we don't want this part visible from the highway. We just want it to have a sign just for traffic and people to see where the park's at. There's no areas planned for grass or any vegetation that would require a substantial amount of water. In any of the facilities, the two facilities, the leasing office and convenience store on the far west end, and then the laundry facility kind of in the middle bottom there. Those would all have low flow, efficient plumbing. Another issue that we found was the septic and wastewater systems. Currently, the septic fields are on the southern part, and we've been discussing what they call a BAT septic system. It's the best available technology. And that includes it's a biologically advanced treatment septic system. In essence, it adds treatment tanks where microbes consume the waste and turn it into a harmless, odorless gas. I'm not a septic expert, but that's what we've been discussing. Traffic is also important. That's another concern of the residents nearby. In our research, there appear to have been less than 10 traffic incidences in the past 6 years. So we don't believe while there will be increased traffic flow, the amount of collisions and traffic accidents is negligible, I guess. But we talked to ADOT, and they said there's a likelihood that the speed could be reduced in the area given the project size and complexity with 60 spaces. So that would be something we'd have to look into further. And I know that's a main concern, is the speed on the highway there. Lastly, pest control. There would be professional managed pest control throughout the park. And lastly, the economic impact. There's 60 RV spaces, more tax dollars for the county and municipalities. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is the time for the public hearing for this docket. I call for comments from other persons. I have speaker forms here in front of me. I will take them in the order that you asked them to be taken, and I'm going to implore you to restrict your comments if you can. We did publish 5 minutes, so we will honor that, but I understand some of you can make your comments tighter. It's getting a little dicey outside, and we all have a long way to drive home. So let's do our best. I'll let you self-monitor on that. Prescott Dalrymple, please. Are you guys all named Dalrymple? You look alike.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Scott Dalrymple. I live at 2284 North Ocotillo Lane, Wichita City, Arizona. That's in Whetstone. I'm approximately 1 mile east of the proposed RV site. My two primary concerns are in regards to traffic on Highway 82 and the drainage that is impacted by this proposed site. Now that ADOT has designated Highway 82 as an alternate for I-10 traffic, the mix of fast-moving vehicles and semis and local residents entering and exiting onto local roads has become incompatible and dangerous. Adding RVs attempting to enter and exit Highway 82 to this mix will significantly increase the dangers of travel on Highway 92 or 82. While the posted speed limit is 65 miles per hour, a large percentage of vehicles eastbound drive faster than that. Many trucks hit 75 miles an hour as they top the final crest into the valley towards the 82 signal light. Jake brakes are heard by neighbors throughout the night and in the day as well. From intersection 90 to the west end of the proposed RV site, there are numerous roads with inadequate sight distance. The proposed RV site does not have adequate stopping sight distance for a semi-truck at 65 miles an hour to brake to avoid an RV that is pulled out onto the highway. That's both eastbound and westbound. To remind you, it is a two-lane highway, and I'll get to the shoulders in just a moment. I timed the vehicles from the time that we could see them at the proposed entrance to this in both directions. It was less than 10 seconds from the moment we could see the vehicle until it was at the intersection. So that's your how short a time you have. There's also a curve in the road coming east towards the RV site. There are no paved shoulders on the highway, and the highway slopes are non-recoverable throughout the location of this site, and most of them are non-traversable. That means when a trucker has to make the choice of either hitting a slow-moving vehicle like an RV pulling onto this two-lane road, he either takes his chances and hits it, because if he swerves off the road, he will lay that truck over, if not roll it. That's what traversable means. There have been many accidents to local residents turning off of 82 onto their roads. Most locals try to turn onto 82 or simply take a risk every time they pull out. Many of them are older drivers. I would also like to address there are 3 culverts that pass under 82 that drain onto the proposed RV site. These are water courses, which cannot be changed without approval of the county floodplain. The project will have to study the drainage of these water courses to ensure that their development does not exacerbate flooding on properties downstream, and that is in accordance with the Cochise County floodplain regulations. Detention basins will be required to mitigate all drainage, both the rain falling from the sky directly onto the property and water entering from underneath the culverts under 82. And those detention basins must be designed for the 100-year flood event. The bottom line is that post-development, the waters flowing downstream of the development cannot change locations. They cannot increase the quantity or the velocity of the flow. I have 2 more quick comments. I will state that there are several already commercial business zoned properties adjacent to 82 and to Highway 90 that are within 5 miles of this location that could, an RV park could easily be put in there, probably be less of an issue, particularly on Highway 90. I will remind you that Pima and Canal and Maricopa, many years ago, they allowed numerous developments which significantly increased traffic at the interchanges on I-10 and I-17. And the Arizona citizens had to pay for ADOT to fix those problems. ADOT finally figured out that they needed to start charging the developers to fix the road problems before they finish their development. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Richard Evans, please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Richard Evans, 2170 North Chula Vista Road in Whetstone Development. I am president of the Chula Vista Homeowners Association, and we, the board of directors, will speak to you tonight for submitting this objection to the special use permit on behalf of 63 families that live in the Chula Vista community and own 729 acres immediately adjoining the fence line to the proposed RV park. Were significantly impacted. Granting this special use permit significantly alters the residential character of the surrounding area. It's dangerous. It's bad for the homeowners, it's bad for the residents, the quality of life, the environment, and the water availability for the farm, the following reasons. Each of the 60 RV spaces proposed represent 1/4 of the space they're asking special use permit for. So it's reasonable to expect that they're going to expand this. Each of those 60 RVs in modern RV terminology are the equivalent of a full residence. They're going to use electricity, water, they're going to dump sewer, they'll use the local roads, and they'll have highway access on this very dangerous strip, Highway 82. All this adds to the residential density. The current plan is 60 spaces on 23 acres, plus all the proposed store, the restrooms, now I'm hearing laundry facility, amounts to a housing density of more than 10 units per acre in an area that's 40 times the RU4 zoning that this has been for the last 60 years. Estimates of 300 gallons a day of water usage are wildly understated by any readily available measure of typical daily RV water usage. 23 acres, whether they're paved, whether it's gravel, there'll be something to maintain that, keep it other than dirt. Plus the rain shed off the roofs of these RVs, all running down, is going to be in a typical monsoon rain. 1 inch of a monsoon rain shed over 500,000 gallons of water to add to the drainage that's already taking place on the property. Very simply, everything drains downhill from that proposed location. Please note, I've handed you a handout, this one here. In walking the area, there are 3 major locations where the runoff from the west aspect of the Whetstone Mountains drops down to Highway 82, passes underneath Highway 82 in 3 major drain pipes. One of those is 2 18-inch lined drains which pass over in the area where they're talking about the initial development. The second one is 400 feet away. It's a 36-inch steel drain. And the last, near what was the initial primary entrance, is a 7-foot by 7-foot concrete causeway. When you pull up the maps and walk the ground, you can see from the erosion, the clearly defined bare drain areas, all the vegetation that's taken place around those pipes, there's a huge amount of water coming through. As an example, according to American Water Works tables, those 18-inch drains flowing at about 50% capacity during a rainstorm are going to dump 3,000 gallons of water per minute out of each pipe. That's a huge impact on the erosion, on the watershed. If you turn to page 2, I've highlighted the visible drainages. These are ones that have been eroded, and there's an actual cut in the ground. They're down to bare sand, no vegetation growing, but there's vegetation along the bank, so it's very easy to track these. If you look at them, they all drain to the southeast, and they start out crossing over on Rascal Ranch Road. It's going to be an immediate impact to our Chula Vista homes right there. Everything else runs down into the floodplain and major drainages that pass through the middle of Chula Vista. And without this additional impact, we've had water 2 feet over the bridge on our wash crossing, just with normal rains prior to this. So there's a huge impact. And now we're talking about putting an RV park in the middle. Just as Scott talked about, I believe Arizona law and Arizona Department of Water Resources, specifically Title 48, 3618, regulates and prohibits redirecting, restraining, obstructing, doing anything with natural flow of water without significant studies and enforcement and permits before you move it. That's just the way water works in Arizona.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you very
Evans.
much for your time.
Thank you. Amanda Forbes, please.
report. You're welcome to-
Speak into the microphone, please, ma'am, and state your name
The
and
water
address.
usage report, you're welcome to follow along. I'm purposely skipping over for time, skipping over some, but you'll have that in front of you.
Are you going to speak, ma'am? Your time is elapsing.
I did not know that. I was waiting for
Yeah.
somebody to
Oh.
say
No.
the start. I'm sorry.
Say your name and
Okay.
address.
My name is Amanda Forbes, address 915 West Mule Lane, Huachuca City in Whetstone.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to come here today and speak about our position on this pressing matter. First of all, I want to say on behalf of the Chula Vista HOA as well as the surrounding community of Whetstone, we are not coming here today to speak in opposition to the applicant's business vision. Most of us, if not all, just like I'm sure the majority of you, if not all, are pro-business, and we all applaud the applicant for following his dream. However, with business comes responsibility, and not just responsibility to ourselves, but to others as well. In 1980, former Governor Bruce Babbitt recognized that Arizona had an issue that could negatively impact our state in a variety of ways. Due to that recognition, he created the Arizona Groundwater Management Act, which enacted the Groundwater Management Code. Please refer to Exhibit A, Paragraph 1. It states, quote, "The Groundwater Management Code was enacted in 1980 to control severe groundwater depletion and to provide the means for allocating the state's groundwater resources effectively to meet future needs," unquote. Despite the loopholes that lawmakers are currently working on closing, responsible Arizona citizens have been making a joint effort to preserve the spirit of Mr. Babbitt's Management Act. There has been continuous strain and effort by the government to protect Arizona citizens. However, despite the effort, there continues to be a number of areas that are becoming AMA districts, and the number is growing. So the question that leads me to Paragraph 3 in Exhibit A is, why and how is this happening, and what are the ramifications once an area goes dry? Perhaps one of the reasons this is continuing to happen is because there's a lack of consistency in the law, which I will address following Paragraph 3. The most consequential ramification, according to Paragraph 3, is, quote, "In addition to depletion of supplies, overdrafting groundwater from Arizona aquifers can lead to compression of the aquifer's subsurface layers, which is referred to as subsidence. Once subsidence occurs, there is no way to restore the aquifer's subsurface natural geological structure, nor regain its water storing capacity," unquote. In other words, once the damage is done, there is no way to reverse it. So now back to the inconsistency within our law that could potentially be contributing to our rapid decline in water. After speaking with the Assured Water Supply Department within ADWR and receiving an email, we were informed that a certificate of assured water supply, which assures that there will be a 100-year water supply to serve the demands of a subdivision, is only required for any proposed new well within an AMA district. Also, a subdivided property located outside of an AMA district, which has been subdivided into 6 lots or more, will require an adequate water report with a registered geologist or engineer. Both require that the reports assure us that there will be a 100-year water supply to serve the demands of a subdivision. Note, RV parks within non-AMA districts are exempt from that requirement. With the information that you have, I'm asking that you please refer to Exhibit B, RV park factual data. Below, you will see data for an RV park in Cochise County, which is connected to city water. To protect privacy, attorneys are currently being worked with to produce proper documentation. In the meantime, verbal figures and calculations are for your review. The final average figure for a 60-space RV park is 54,420 gallons per month. Next, please refer to Exhibit C, which reflects 2 water usage bills for residential homes. To protect privacy, all personal information has been redacted. The calculations are for your review in Exhibit D. The final average figure for a residential household of 3 people is 5,730 gallons per month, with a total of 34,380 gallons per month for 6 households. As you can see, there is a wide margin between the gallons per month used by an RV park of 60 spaces and 6 residential households of 3, with a more conservative water usage leaning towards 6 residential households of 3. Yet an RV park of 60 spaces
with the high probability of a final 190 space park due to a return on investment calculation is being considered. Now that you have the analytical data and facts above, I have a question for all of you based on concrete facts and not a speculative analysis produced by a questionable registered hydrologist.
Ms. Barbs, can you
Yes.
finish within the minute?
Sure. Are you able to consciously continue in favor of the applicant's request for a special use permit to implement an RV park along Highway 82, which will exponentially impact us in a negative way, and not just us, but all of us and future generations for years to come? In addition, are you willing to proactively work with responsible citizens to preserve the spirit of former Governor Bruce Babbitt's Groundwater Management Act and to lessen the burden on governmental agency for years to come? We, the Chula Vista HOA, as well as Whetstone community residents, respectfully request that you deny the applicant's current request for a special use permit on parcel number 10612-002 Alpha. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. George Peters, please.
My name is George Peters, 2238 North Carlson Canyon Drive, Huachuca City. I am a retired intelligence officer out of Fort Huachuca. I want to thank you all for hosting this and letting us speak. I want to give a big shout out to Matthew Taylor. I don't know him. Gracious, professional, worked through the holidays, answered a ton of our emails and a ton of our questions. This planned RV park is 110 feet from my front yard. It equates to a 60-room hotel. It's nested between two very upscale. It is nested between two upscale subdivisions, Chula Vista and mine, Rancho de la Sierra. Each of these subdivisions have CC&Rs that preclude commercial. The RV park entails a depth of 400 feet by a half-mile long stretched against 82. I don't care how high they build the fence. I will always be able to look down on it and see within. I bought here in 21. I executed due diligence before securing our home on the slope of the Whetstones. I used your tax and zoning gist maps to make a decision. West of Whetstone, it said RU4. As you see, all that tan right there. No matter what you call it, a supplemental use permit is a change. In July 23, we got the first notice about this RV park coming. We felt that we had beat it. However, 17 months later, it shows up in a new redesign. In August, I bought the lots to my left, to my right, and to my north on the purpose of precluding encroachment and any further development. Only about 8 properties get this notice. Obviously, I'm one. I saw the X on it. This has significant effects on about 75 homes and those homes that are not yet built. There is a reason we all moved out there. The 300 rule works great in a high density zone. However, in a rural setting, it is less than efficient. I can draw your attention to the handout. TAN represents RU4. Visually, you can see interdispersed there are green dots. That is where the zoning people have already in the past said, we're going to approve a SUP. Well, if you notice where they're at, they all align with right next to the commercial areas. There are a few that come out my way to the west. One of them is a single dwelling house that I believe they used to sell rocks. But most of that stuff is contained at what we call Mustang Corners. I thought we were going to have the former garrison commander here standing with me. Obviously, he's preoccupied. But he's the one who would also talk about Sentinel Landscape, the effects on Hubbard Assault Airstrip, and most important, the Buffalo Soldier Electronic Testing Range. There exist two surveyed EPG positions
along the RV park. One is right in their driveway. Another one is at my mailbox. This will probably require moving. This is the only place in CONUS, continental United States, that enables this type of joint testing. This RV park will sit dead center of the testing area and represents encroachment on the military mission. Lastly, I want to talk about the application. All the names contained in it are weighted heavy with the county next door. All water delivery trucks, just ask one of them. Where are we going? We're going across county. We're going into Sonoyta and further. Santa Cruz has a water problem, a serious water problem. Your Baba Kamari area plan states the plan area is RU4 and that it creates the baseline for determining groundwater impacts, and that future requests for increased densities should consider and take into consideration and therefore not increase groundwater withdrawals. Precinct 3 already has enough. There's water issues in Wilcox. We don't want to add Whetstone to it. This comes down to public trust. I trust your zoning website. Through this, it's extremely good. Your Cochise County Comprehensive Plan. Yeah, I actually read it during the holidays. It's good. I really do like the Baba Kamari area plan. I'm a believer in it. I love this land. I will walk and hunt the same grounds as Cochise and Geronimo. Rule first. Let's keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Janet Cooper, please.
Good evening now. I'm Janet Cooper. My address is 991 West El Rancho Road. I live in Chula Vista Estates, directly southeast of the proposal. I'm here to talk about my opposition to the proposal. As stated, Colonel Larry Porto couldn't be here today. He's the ex-commander at Garrison, and he asked me to speak about encroachment. According to the Cochise County Environment Development Office, Fort Huachuca is the county's largest employer and one of the largest in the state. The fort employs both military and non-military personnel, which are responsible for a lot of sales and property tax revenue in Sierra Vista and the county. Increasing encroachment around the fort threatens the missions on the installation, especially ones that need darkness and quiet radio spectrum. This leads to fewer employees/contractors and downward economic pressure on the county. This will significantly impact Sierra Vista, the largest city in the county. Less tax revenue will ensue and property values will drop. And I would also like to say I think my property values will drop if this RV park goes in. I'm also concerned about the lack of studies on the effects on the water runoff and traffic, which I feel will be severely imposed. I'm a retired nurse practitioner. I worked for the American Academy of Pediatrics in their injury prevention program, so accidents is something I'm very much familiar with. I have serious concerns about the accidents that are going to occur on 82. The applicant did say that there were minimal accidents on 82. I'm here to tell you that there are numerous near misses. Larry wanted me to share with you that he was trying to turn left on Chula Vista Road, and a car came up on his left and a car came up on his right to pass him. And he didn't get injured, but there have been so many misses. I've been here for a year and I have almost been hit twice. And so the traffic is terrible. In my letter to you all, I cited a song by Randy Travis about a truck and a bus accident. The song's lyric is essential to my point. An 18-wheeler can't stop on a dime. Neither can ore trucks, neither can 18-wheelers or other trucks coming around that corner. Even if you lower the speed at 45, they're going to go faster, and there just isn't enough room. I will just say that in closing, because I want to give everybody else a chance to talk, I'm opposed to this project. I'm not opposed to RV parks. I just think this is a bad place to go for it. Not only is it going to be water and sewer and traffic, how about light? I've moved it to sit outside and look at the stars, and that's going to be hindered. And I appreciate you listening to me tonight.
Thank you. Next, please, William Lewandowski. Don't forget to say your name and address. Thank you.
William Lewandowski, I represent property at
1028 Highway 82. I think it's across the street from this. And the three things I was worried about was the water table, the property aesthetics, and the safety on the highway. It's a pretty dangerous highway, and I would recommend that so you go down there, maybe camp out overnight or spend an afternoon with the radar gun and check on on those trucks and cars going by there. And I would think if you put in this RV park, the road would have to be opened up to 4 lanes for safety purpose, and I don't know if you guys want to pay for that. I don't think it's necessary. And my daughter is on the uphill side of that, and I don't know if it'll cause a problem with flooding or any water damage or whatever. I know there's ruts on her property now that run down south. And I think we're just a little over a year we've been in the area, and the reason why we bought the property is because of what was there now, not because but they have a RV park across the street from us. There's one down the road, maybe a mile and a quarter closer to Highway 90 already. But that's far enough away from the property, doesn't seem to affect. But I think the major thing that I have to think about is the traffic safety and the water table problem. Okay?
Thank you. Karen Youngblood?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Karen Youngblood, and I live at 2132 North Monte Cristo Way in Whetstone. I want to talk about something called the Covenant of Quiet Enjoyment. The Covenant of Quiet Enjoyment is the right to inhabit or use certain property without disturbance. This term is most frequently used in property law, where the right to quiet enjoyment protects residents from intrusions and guarantees certain basic necessities of a home. The right is implied because there is no specific U.S. law that guarantees it. But while quiet enjoyment is not necessarily codified, it may be defined in some states' codes of law and is consistently held up in U.S. courts, which means a judge will uphold a tenant's right to quiet enjoyment in most scenarios. Historically, quiet enjoyment was put forth between landlords and tenants. However, an example in Tempe, Arizona, like other places, homeowners have the right to quiet enjoyment, meaning they can use their property peacefully without unreasonable interference from others. And this right is a fundamental aspect of property ownership, and is often implied in lease agreements or explicitly stated in homeowners association rules, and can even be incorporated into easement views. Building this proposed RV park, in my opinion, is a violation of the covenant of quiet enjoyment to the surrounding land and all the homeowners. Our quiet enjoyment would be interrupted through additional traffic noise, emergency vehicle noise, increased dust pollution, sewage smell, and dangerous road conditions, just to name a few. We performed our due diligence, bought the land, and built our home in this specific area in order to have quiet enjoyment. For this reason, including all the other concerns that are going to be voiced today and have been voiced, I oppose this RV park proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Dan Legg, please.
Madam Chair and Board, my name is Dan Legg. I live at 2132 Monte Cristo. That was my wife there. We live a half a mile southeast of the proposed RV park. It's downhill and downwind. I'm sure that you've read the written comments and did your due diligence by looking into all the state grievances. You all were appointed by people who trusted you to serve the best interests of the residents of Cochise County and not undisclosed special interest groups. You swore an oath of office to do so, and those words have meaning. You owe it to us to be very thorough with all your deliberations, and it sounds like that you are, how you ask the questions. Okay, got off track there, sorry. Because of the impact this will have on the Whetstone area, I'm assuming that you actually went and looked at the location of this proposed RV park and understand the concerns about the traffic on this hillside that comes down from Shinoida. I read the ADOT 2024 crash facts report and learned that traffic accidents are increasing statewide on a yearly upward trend of almost 2%. Statewide, there were over 122,000 accidents with over 1,300 fatalities. The economic cost of these accidents cost the Arizona taxpayers over $21 billion. Cochise County had 700 crashes with 16 fatalities and 208 injured. Cost to our county alone amounted to nearly $442 million annually. This is all available on the chart there or in that report. So ask yourself, how can you reasonably allow this project to go through when it's going to increase the stats on the next report? And lastly, we purchased property here because of the RU4 zoning, the low density, non-commercial usage. We did not move here under the pretense that it was going to change. So you board members are responsible for continuing the quality of this area. It was determined to be important by your predecessors to zone it this way, so please honor it. Uphold your prior decisions to retain the confidence of your county residents. Common sense should prevail here because human lives and taxpayer monies are at stake. Please vote no. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Legg. Kara Harris, please.
Planning and Zoning Board, good evening. My name is Kara Harris, and I've been a resident at 2265 North Mustang Heights Road in Whetstone for over 24 years. I'm on the trailer side of the mountain. In those years, I've entered Highway 82 from the north in order to access Highway 90 and to go to Tucson or Sierra Vista at least once a day, numerous times a day, and returning to the same street. For over 20 years, I've also ridden my bicycle on Highway 82, taking my life in my hands in order to ride to Highway 90. Pre-COVID, I followed ADOT for 2 years all around the state, pleading with them to no avail in my 3 minutes of fame to please widen this highway, stopping me from being a moving target from 18-wheelers. In the past 20 plus years, Nogales became a port of entry for commercial trucks, 18-wheelers, utilizing 82 as a shortcut to I-10, circumventing I-19 and Tucson. Cattle trucks frequent this route almost daily. There is little to no traffic enforcement by DPS or our own county sheriffs. These commercial vehicles have kept ADOT quite busy, replacing guardrails as they use this 2-lane road as a freeway, exceeding the posted 65 mile per hour speed limit. Add to this mix the fact that ADOT has declared 82 an alternate to I-10 when accidents occur, as they do frequently, as we residents of our county are all too familiar with in our travels to Tucson. Attending ADOT meetings around the state, I found out ADOT has no funding for Highway 82. The infrastructure in Phoenix, Tucson, and Flagstaff take priority with them. The fact that they have decided to repave 90 from Karchner Caverns to Mosen Road is proving to be a challenge to them. After all I heard, there would be little chance they would make 82 safe with turn lanes or widening roads. Could you put up my slide, please? Now, there's a man here that owns the Quail Ridge RV Park, but I want to relate what I've seen, okay? What you're looking at on the top is where Quail Ridge had to pay $150,000 20 years ago to put in a lane for them to come onto the highway and a left turn lane to keep us safe when we're headed west. What you see back west of Rascal Ranch is a road that slides down on both sides. And those photos were taken from the current Quail Ridge, which is less than a quarter mile west of 90. The owner of this property was ordered to improve the road. He had to pay himself. So the improvements were made on level ground, not ground with a slope and water runoff. And he didn't have to build up the sides. 20 years ago, he paid $150,000 out of his own pocket. Next, you need to notice the terrain by Rascal Ranch Road. There's no way to improve this site without building up both east and westbound sides. And who's going to pay for this endeavor? Surely not ADOT, nor on my tax dollars. I live approximately a half mile east of Rascal Ranch Road. Directly west to the south is Chula Vista. There are no turn lanes to the right onto Mustang Heights nor left into Chula Vista. Since the development of this subdivision, they have painted a solid stripe to prevent westbound traffic from passing, along with a handy-dandy no passing sign even the Border Patrol ignores. This is merely a joke to those already traveling at speeds far exceeding the posted 65 miles per hour. As I approach my right turn, if there is a left-turning vehicle into Chula Vista, accidents do happen. With a line of traffic on my bumper, I'm forced to turn probably too quick as safety would allow. And in fact, Rick, who was up here speaking before, got the full front end of his car taken off, a Ford Explorer, in an accident. Leaving my home is another challenge. If there's been a wreck on I-10 like there was about 3 weeks ago, I am unable to exit my street. I had no access to 82 several weeks ago after a westbound collision, which took 3 hours to clean up in Davidson Canyon. In those 3 hours, we could not get out of our street with no break in the traffic. Take a drive down 82 and see how you can successfully drive at the speed limit without a commercial 18-wheel vehicle, truck, or a POV on your tail exceeding the posted 65 miles per hour. Once again, remember, I followed ADOT for over 2 years on my own dime. I know what they won't do.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Susan Archibald, please.
Good evening, everybody. I have a whole bunch of questions that I want to just put to you before you make a decision on this. I went through the application thoroughly, so hear me out. You've been already asked, have any of you walked or driven along that property? Just a question. Take a look at it. Do we really need another RV park? We got a bunch already in West End Corners. On the application to sign, there's a plan for 60 RV sites and 12 open areas are identified. What assurance are there that those areas are not further developed to add at least another 60 plus RV sites in the future? Also, the placement of water, sewer, and electric hookups are not provided. What is the plan for the water runoff? Now, you've heard a lot about that. I don't know that I need to say much more about that because it makes no sense to us. Oh, my address, I live on Carlson Canyon, 2278 North Carlson Canyon. Sorry about that. So I'm right up from the mailboxes. So my next question was, what type of well is being dug? Is it a non-exempt or an exempt well? I reviewed the Montgomery area plan that on page 10 under rural designation policy number 6.5, it states that the water usage in the area is 312 gallons per person per day. On page 5 of the application, it estimates that the total usage for the entire project is only 300 gallons total per day. The math does not make sense. If there were a minimum of 60 people at the RV park, would the daily usage would be 312 gallons. If you multiply that by 60, it's almost 18,000 gallons a day. On the map of all the local wells in the application, there are wells that are missing, so it does not provide a clear picture of the current water usage. The hydrologist, that was listed, I did not see a signature that affirmed his evaluation or any contact information. His information was from over a year ago, and is that okay? Also, he used an example of a well that is located in Sonoyta, not one that's located near the site. Sewage is also an issue and a problem, how they're going to handle 60 plus people every day. I don't see how they can do that. And that's really not addressed in the application. The next question I had is the RV park a short-term or a long-term stay? I'm concerned that the long-term stay folks would make the park become an eyesore, as they often use the lots as places to store additional equipment, vehicles, and other things that they cannot fit in their RVs. Are folks required to fill out applications to park their RV there? These applications determine their intent. The hours of operation included in the application are limited. I'm aware, we had an RV for years, so I'm aware that folks will arrive often late, and how is that handled? Is there a curfew for activities and parties? Because if we have problems and we call the police because we have problems, there's not enough sheriff to come around. It would take hours. It probably wouldn't even happen, to be honest. My question about the Rascal Flats roads, have they gotten written permission from them to use that road? Obviously, now I hear they're going to have a new road that'll probably be right across the street from our driveways. What is the timeline for phase 1 and phase 2? The property also has direct access to state trust land. Is there a gate access? RV visitors often have ATVs and dirt bikes that will cause damage to the state land. Have these issues been addressed? Also, RV visitors often bring their bicycles because many of them love to ride, and Highway 2 is not a good place for cyclists. My stepson just visited us on his bike. He drives across the country on his bike regularly, which is another issue. But anyway, he said the most busy road he's ever been on, or the most dangerous, is 82. He came from Sonoyta to our home, and he almost got hit 3 times, got beeped at, got someone threw a finger at. I mean, they was treated terrible riding his bike. So these people will come with their bikes because they do. We did. They also love to walk, people that come with their RVs. They're going to want to walk up on 82 with their dogs, and they're just going to take long walks and hikes. It is not a safe place to walk. It is not. Then my other question, are horses going to be allowed? If so, where will they be stabled? Bigger concern, have you considered the additional ore trucks that will be coming from the new Patagonian mine? I've been at many meetings where we were told by the company that come 2027, there'll be 1 ore truck coming every 5 to 7 minutes, 24/7. I think that's a huge issue for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. David Armstrong. Is there anyone online, Mr. Taylor? Do you know? There is? All right. Thank you. State your name and address, sir.
David Armstrong, 2016 Suncatcher Road, Washington City. Thank you, board, for letting us speak today. I know it's not an easy job that you have to do. I'm here today to use this opportunity to bring us together, to find common ground with each other's risk and desires. And not just our single goal, but cooperative goals for our neighborhood community. I personally have no malice or enmity against the Martin family. I share a fence line with their property and livestock. There was a day that we helped take care of our neighbors. Now we don't even know our neighbors' names. I wish that was not the case. I want to bring up an article written about Rain Valley Ranch by Pat Hartthorne in 2017 with quotes from Scott Martin, the ranch manager, and Liz Peterson, executive director of Arizona Land and Water Trust. The headline is the following. Trust protects 302 acres of the Rain Valley Ranch near Sonora. Scott Martin is quoted saying, "It is the nicest place a person could want to live, and I'd like to see it stay that way. My dad worked here when he was a young man, and now I've done it all my life. Hopefully, my boys will work here all their lives." My biggest hope is that the entire ranch will one day be protected. We share the same thought that Mr. Martin, that it is the nicest place a person could want to live, and we would like to see it stay that way. This is the land that one of the greatest cowboy movies ever made was filmed, Red River, starring John Wayne. The Martin family started the community and gave us the privilege to live here by selling a portion of his land to our Chula Vista community 20 plus years ago through the realtors at the time. Along with the sale of the ranch properties came an agreement that we would accept homeowner associations with policies and governing documents. Just last week, we had our Chula Vista HOA meeting. The agenda was to review, discuss, approval, and possible action of issues that are in the governance documents. Mr. Martin, we upheld the standard of the living required from these documents and have kept this HOA community ranch style living for over 20 years. We come together to protect them and abide by them as you require, in spite of some of those that oppose them. Please, instead of staring at each other over with dim eyes over our fence lines, I would like to reach out my hand with Christian neighborly love and friendship to have a rational conversation with public input and find a balanced equilibrium together that benefits all. May the Lord bless you and love your neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you. There are some speakers online. I don't have names. Do you know?
Is there anyone online that wishes to speak at this time? If so, either raise your hand or speak into the microphone.
Mary Aguirre. No, thank you.
Go ahead, state your name and address.
Mary Aguirre, 1107 West Highway 82.
Thank you. Go ahead.
But no, we didn't want to say nothing, but we're also opposed to the development. Thank you.
Yes, we saw your letter online. Anyone else, Christy?
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? John, I see a raised hand. Go ahead. Okay, we'll come back to you, Martin McCleary. Go ahead.
Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
On a little bit. My name is Martin McCleary. I live at 947 West Mule Lane in the Chula Vista establishment. Looked at your staff prep slides and notes, and I've listened to my neighbors in their discussions with you here. And it's clear to me that there is a significant gap between the staff recommendations to approve this thing and what our neighbors, my neighbors, are saying to you. And my key takeaway in all this is that the homework done by the applicant, by the developer, is clearly lacking in detail and specificity. And you guys are going to render a decision tonight that's going to have long-term consequences on us and frankly them. I have no issue with the Martins. Absolutely none. I understand, they own property, they want to make a buck. I got it. It's the American way. But I do not believe that the staff recommendation that's been put in front of you tonight to approve this thing accurately reflects the conditions under which this development will go forward. That's all I have. Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Okay, next I see a hand from John. John, if you can hear me, go ahead and speak into the microphone.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Also, I'm sorry, I had some problems earlier. So yes, I'm definitely opposed to this project for a couple reasons. You know, obviously the traffic safety is on everybody's mind and is a real and true concern. I live 719 West Norrain Lane, Wichita City, just south of the proposed, or I guess downhill, the proposed project towards Quail Ridge. We moved here about 3 years ago out of the city. And a lot of the reason was to, you know, get away from that congested area and live in a place that is quiet. We were really concerned pulling in, just looking at the property, you know, we almost got rear-ended trying to take a left turn onto Buchanan. So I have to, you know, I had to brief everyone, my children when they come to visit, I'm like, look left, look right, and then look left and right 3 or 4 more times because frequently you're faced with an oncoming vehicle passing as you're just trying to turn right out of your lane. As many have said, they just disregard the no passing zones. There's really no concern for speed limit. They don't allow you time to slow down to safely assess whether somebody's coming out. They just assume that you're going to pull into oncoming traffic and get angry that you don't. And then, so when you slow down to a safe speed to assess whether somebody's coming out of your street or driveway, you know, you have to slow down, as somebody earlier said, to a safe speed so I don't roll my vehicle over. More than that, the property tax, I'm definitely concerned with. You know, we bought this, we pay a lot in property taxes that these people will not. To cover the fire department, you know, we pay the Cochise College, the schools, that none of these people will. You know, I don't know how much the park pays for that, but I don't think it nearly will cover what a resident would that would build up this property in a manner, you know, suitable for the location. Lastly, you know, I'll keep it kind of quick. You know, I'm concerned with fire and sanitation. These people really will have no incentive to, you know, keep their fires. I ran an RV park for about a year and was absolutely appalled at how some people just completely disregard. It does not matter what the RV park's rules or paperwork says. They will do whatever they want. You know, they will not pick up their dog waste, which will leach into the ground, which is known to cause problems. In a pinch, if the dump station is full or not available, they will dump wherever they will, where it's convenient for them. Guaranteed. Washing their RVs, even if it says it's not allowed. So the water consumption that's, you know, stated is not accurate at all. I really do not agree with this project. I do thank you for your time. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Did this gentleman want to? Did you fill out a form?
Pardon me?
Did you fill out a form?
Yes, I did.
All right, come on up. State your name and address, please.
It's just a quick.
Okay, good.
Everybody's done. My name is Gary Miller. I live at 2207 North Yucca Drive, Washington City. I am Quail Ridge. I'm the guy that's 2 miles down the road, and I didn't get the deal for all these other guys when you built these things. And ADOT tells you have to do. They made me put in the lanes, and I'm glad I got them in. I've never had any accidents down there. I've never had any close calls down there. I live at the park myself, and what has happened over here and was proposed, I have worked with many different agencies doing this project over the last 30 years. And ADOT is, I can't say they're tough, they're fair and everything, and they have a really tough job to do because everybody dislikes them or wants them or wants to do anything with these guys. But they did make me, and for me to be approved to finish my project, I had to do, I have 2 lanes on each side going east and west. I have them, they're 1,100 feet. So when you come out of my RV park and you turn right and you want to go down to get on 90, you're not going to get hit. When you go up the road or come down 82, coming down there and you want to come into my park, there's a lane right there. You'll notice that there's a whole bulge and you saw it up here, how it goes out. This cannot be done on the property that is proposed today. up the street, not my property, but what we're talking about right here. The first gentleman that talked, he's absolutely correct. ADOT is not going to expand the thing up there, and it's just going to get worse. They have no access to personal access. They have to go to a service road that I don't even know if they have a permission to go onto before they go on to 82. It's just not going to work. And if it does work, I'm one of those guys that did pay $150,000. And that's what the price was. I didn't get one of those deals down on Highway 17 where ADOT did it for them. But that is what the common thing is, and that's how it works. And it does work. But you have to have a road that you can work with. And down, as you know, as it gets down the first half mile coming off of 90 and going on 82, it is a whole different thing there by the power station. And that was they had the property, and they took some of my property, and we made it all out there, and we made it safe. But it's not a cheap thing you can do, and it's something that has to be done. I also was zoned, when I first started my process, I was zoned commercial. All that was commercial down there. And so that makes a lot of difference when you start with all those kind of things. But I was at a place where they wanted it, right on the corner, and I'm saying like the county wanted it, like that. But up the road going up there, it's RU4. Everybody knew it was RU4. Everybody that's come down here today that wants to change RU4. Why? I never understand that, but that's one of those things. But I just wanted to tell you, I really exist, the park really exists, and all the lanes exist. And everybody lives happily after. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that the end, Mr. Taylor, of our speakers?
Is there anyone else online that would like to speak on this docket?
No, hearing none.
Yes, I would like to speak. My name's Elizabeth Graves. Can
Go
you
ahead,
hear me?
state your name and address, please.
So my name is Elizabeth Graves, and I own the house over at 1010 West Olson, which you have to get on Rascal Ranch to get to Olson. And I actually just moved like literally a week ago. But anyway, I wanted to say that I'm opposed. I still live in Whetstone, but I wanted to point something out. They originally asked to change it to commercial property because they wanted 190 spaces. But then now they've changed it. They want a special use permit and only have 60 spaces. So it's true, everybody had said about the road, the highway is dangerous. We just can't add that extra. But I did want to point out a thing about on your website, and it describes a special use permit. So the permit of the special use is to ensure that the proposed use is compatible with surrounding land uses and does not negatively impact the community or the environment. And I think that's a very strong point to make, because I don't think that the RV park is doing either one of those. They are not compatible with the surrounding land use, and it does negatively impact the community and the environment. So I'm opposed to it.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Taylor?
Is there anyone else online that would like to speak on this docket?
Hearing none. Mr. Martin, you have 5 minutes to address what has been said.
So I'll just keep it short. This is an application for a use, and the nature of the project is going to involve a lot in terms of studies, site engineering, tens of thousands of dollars. And this is a preliminary site plan. If we were approved to move to the next step, that's when these studies would happen, and a lot of these questions would get answered with professional studies for engineering of the site, drainage, and that would hopefully minimize the impact of the surrounding neighbors. So that's it.
Repeat your name and address, sir.
TJ Gray, 62 Homestead Lane.
Thank you so
Elgin,
much.
Arizona.
Public comment period is closed. This is a time for commission discussion, questions for the applicant or staff.
Yes. Did you want to go?
You
I will
Mr.
start.
Montgomery first.
Thank you. Couple of questions quickly. Did the gentleman from the HOA, the first who spoke in opposition, is he still here? I had one quick question for you, sir, regarding the
I'm
the
glad I
photos.
didn't go. They've been there since 4 o'clock.
They want to go home.
Yes, sir.
Very informative presentation. Just the one photo of the drainage, the culverts. Did I hear you say that this one is a 7-foot by 7-foot concrete?
Yes, sir. Poured concrete.
Okay, the little caption here calls it a 7-inch concrete drain.
Typo.
Would not be that
It was
useful.
done about midnight. I'm sorry.
It's for the record because this will go in the record.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that was my question for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Mr. Limbach?
I had two more, please. No, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry.
Okay. Let's see. Does the staff or anybody know the distance from Highway 90 to the proposed park on Highway 82? It's not very long. About what?
2.5 miles.
I am quite familiar with this area as I drive there a lot. I go to Benson and Sonoyta on a weekly basis, just about. I also have business in that immediate area in the other RV parks and some of the residential neighborhoods. I am quite familiar with that route and I do have ideas about it. Could I ask the applicant? I have two quick questions for you. You want to come up? Okay. Let's see. Concerning ADOT, I think you did mention that you had talked with them and they suggested maybe they could widen the road or do something about an access, right?
Right.
But they had no kind of time frame or even
No, that
a
would take,
positive
yeah.
answer on that. Okay. And I would believe that because in Sierra Vista and other places, we know where they've been on hold for over 5 years. And the roads are just almost impassable in certain parts of Sierra Vista. They will wreck your car if you're not careful. So they're not in a hurry to do any of this. And then, as I believe Citizen Harris in the back indicated, she checked with them and they have no plans whatever to do anything on 82. I would tend to think that's true. Now, my other question sort of regarding that is the site plan. Could we have a picture of the site plan? Here's my last question. Yeah, there it is. This is a very good depiction and it's a professional presentation, I believe, isn't it? Did you hire someone to make that?
Yes, actually, yes. A retired
It's-
architect.
It's better than most that we get here, you know, crayons and chalk and whatever. However, I want to ask, did engineers or architects or surveyors go out to the property with you and assemble that?
Yes, he's a retired architect, friend of mine,
Mhm.
and he went out to the site and walked the site with us.
Okay.
We did not take out tape measures and start measuring, but I mean, that's what he,
During that time, did any of them ever approach you about the proximity to the highway and discuss any problems with that or potential problems?
being this close to the highway.
Yes, and the traffic itself and the whole nature of it.
No, that was not discussed.
Okay. Okay. Well,
He was going off of, we discussed setbacks from the highway,
Mhm.
and we wanted the setbacks to be more than the minimum.
setbacks. Uh-huh.
That's what,
Well, as our last gentleman who spoke there has direct experience with this, it does seem to me that all of this presentation is excellent. It has one major problem, which is the highway and the traffic. Being so close and being such a narrow highway that is unattended. That intersection of Highway 90 and 82 is notorious for wreckage and crashes. And unfortunately, in recent history, a number of high-speed chases in illegal mode. And there have been wrecks there, and there have been fatalities there. And they say I drive it, and I have to keep my eyes wide open.
Absolutely.
I'll end my questioning with those. I can go on about ADOT having other priorities that I'm aware of, but I think we've established that this is not one of them. Okay, thank you very much.
So I too am very familiar with Highway 82. And occasionally I'm towing a 5,000-pound travel trailer. And 65 miles an hour, which I don't even like to go that fast with my trailer. I've got semis on my rear end wanting me to go faster. And I did a few days ago go out and look at the site myself to gain a better perspective. So just to recap, Highway 82 is an alternate route to I-10. I spoke with Denise, a Hermosa Mine representative, who confirmed that in probably a year and a half or 2 years, there will be one truck every 5 minutes on that highway. It is a very small, narrow, 2-lane highway with only about 1.5 feet of buffer on either side. There are blind spots immediately in that area. Knowing that, my question to you is how can you mitigate the safety concerns if ADOT is not going to be cooperative?
Well, our property owners, they run cattle up and down that highway all the time and cross it. So they're aware of the impacts of traffic and how bad it is. But ADOT, that would be something that we would have to work with ADOT on. We haven't gotten into serious meetings with ADOT because this is a preliminary meeting. But if this was the past, we would certainly have to discuss this with ADOT. If ADOT denies that, then the project's dead.
So that was it for me. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other questions? I would like to read, maybe I could ask Mr. Taylor to do it, on your page 2 of 6. What ADOT did respond. That was from a preliminary inquiry. If you could read that for us.
Sure. Madam Chair, we notified the South Central District of ADOT on this application, in which we did receive comments back from ADOT, 3 specifically, which we included in the staff report. Number 1, based on the development type, size, and location, we are willing to waive a traffic impact statement. Number 2, a newly paved driveway should be required. Their existing one, which appears to be 20 feet wide, needs to be updated to support commercial traffic. And they explain that by saying at least 30 feet wide with a 35-foot radii. Number 3, they would be more than welcome to construct a left turn lane, but we do not believe a turn lane would be warranted required. I have had subsequent conversations with ADOT. We have included a condition of approval that these issues need to be resolved before the applicant would apply for any county permits.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Which leads to my comment that it seems to me ADOT is taking a derelict approach to this, and I fear that if they were to step up, the costs would be prohibitive. But I mean, that's not a part of our decision. It's just an observation. I think the roadway is unsafe. We all live here. We all know how unsafe it is. So was there anyone else that wanted to talk to the applicant, ask a question? I think we're finished, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Taylor, your summary and recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Based on the factors in favor of approval, staff recommends approval of docket SU 2421 to allow a 60-space recreational vehicle park with the following conditions. Number 1, quiet hours shall be observed between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. 7 days per week. Number 2, park area shall be kept in a sanitary condition. Temporary refuse and animal waste receptacles shall be appropriately sized and designed so as not to create an attractive nuisance for wildlife or pests. Number 3, obtain required ADOT permits and provide written confirmation from ADOT identifying required on or off-site improvements prior to applying for county development permits. Number 4, this is a new condition that was added based on comments from Fort Huachuca. Visitors, guests, and employees shall be made aware of the park's location beneath military restricted airspace and the potential for heavy air traffic noise. Standard conditions relative to conditions permitting and modifications still apply to this application. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Call for this motion, please.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Limbach.
Thank you.
I move to approve docket SU 24-21 to allow a 60-space recreational vehicle park with conditions recommended by staff. The factor is in favor of approval, constituting the findings of fact.
Second.
For purposes of a vote, I will second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. Is there any final discussion?
My final discussion is that the proposal, as I see it, is a very professional presentation for an RV park. Well done, well measured, well explained in its own diagram. Unfortunately, it is in a terrible location for such an endeavor. And it's a deal, the traffic itself is a deal breaker without the proposed off-ramp or extra lane for turning in. So, and then the drainage itself was a high question. That is my final comment before the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. Anyone else? All right, let's take a vote. Mr. Limbach.
No, due to the unsafe nature of Highway 82. And I support the residents that live in the area. They know best of the risk factors.
Mr. Montgomery.
Yes, I will vote no also for the same reasons just cited.
Mr. Watkins.
Vote no for the same reasons.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Vote no for the same reasons that previously stated.
Ms. Fickett.
I vote no for the same reasons.
Mr. Martsky. Thank you, sir. The chair also votes no. I would like to make a comment. It's hard when we vote no. We have approved another RV park in the recent history down in Palominas. There are dozens of businesses littering the highway down there. It is not so on Highway 82, even though the zoning is probably similar. So the RV park is not a good fit in this location. I'm sorry this has been denied.
Yes.
An individual disagreeing with this action has the right to appeal to the Board of Supervisors within 15 days. An application for appeal is available from the clerk at the office or online at cochise.az.gov. And I thank you so much for your patience and persistence this late evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the time, if you all could remove your conversations to the lobby. We have a meeting to complete.
Thank you.
Yeah, almost.
Go on.
Another 40 seconds, maybe 30.
Mr. Coxworth?
Survey.
We have a meeting, folks.
Goodbye. Good night.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Yeah, I'm telling you.
So next month you have 3 special uses and a combination of rezoning and a special use together. So 4 dockets next month. Happy New Year. And
Be a relief.
I'm sorry,
It'll be a relief.
a little bit of a break, maybe not too much. I'm not sure how controversial these are. I think, well, hard to say. We'll see. But thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Thank you. I do have a request. I would like any of the members of this commission to attend the BOS work session on the 29th for the comp plan? I think that would be a good thing for us to listen to.
You can attend here or you can attend online.
Pardon?
You can either attend here in person or online.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you don't even have to travel here.
And
Ms.
just
McNaught.
for the board's knowledge, that 10 o'clock on the 29th, that's a Wednesday.
Okay.
And you are very welcome to attend.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it would be appropriate. And the second thing I'd like to do in a future meeting, can we discuss the agenda order? I sense that we're making the motion at the wrong point in the order. I've read some Robert's rules and listened to the BOS, and I think we need to make that motion before we have a presentation or talk about it. I could be wrong. I'd like to discuss it at length. And then we want to change to 3 minutes. We want to discuss changing the public comments to 3 minutes. So if we can do that another time.
That's all we allow in our call to public or public comment.
I think we can do it, but I'd like to do it officially.
One last,
That's with the fire department.
when you're ready.
Comprehensive plan work session by the Board of Supervisors. That's when? January 29th.
Chairperson.
Thank you so much. We are adjourned.